It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be with you here today. For those who know me, I'm sorry. For those who don't, my name is Layla Arrison. I am a super sports broadcaster. As I was telling the wonderful women at my table, I am super sports first English female commentator in the rugby space. You might have heard if you watched the last four Springbok men's matches. I was in commentary for those Springbok men's games, so the first woman to sit on second chair and be a rugby analyst for Springbok men's games. So that was really fun. What wasn't fun was what came afterwards. Was the backlash that came with being the first in those chairs. And like many of you here today, you would have gone through your own suffering, you would have gone through your own moments of struggle where you have had to fight, where you've had to take up space and occupy that space with integrity, with dignity, because we still have to show up, we still have to smile, and we still have to do our job. To all of you here today, you can give yourselves a round of applause because it's an absolute honor that we get to be in a room with such strong women today. This is the 9th annual Women with Drive event. And when we started 10 years ago, when we started a decade ago, we had no idea that this was where the event was going to grow to. It was 40 passionate ladies that came in, who then eventually grew to 80, who grew to 150. And today we're at over 150, both here and virtually attending. So thank you so much for what you guys have contributed. It's a testament to the hunger that we have as women for connection, for inspiration and shared purpose, and understanding that we all have one common goal that we would love to achieve. Today, and in this incredible Women's Month, our topic is Arrive. And you guys have gone through the traffic and arrived here today. So it's really great that you guys are here. While I was prepping for it, I kept having Arrive Alive in my brain. And I was like, that's what I hope I get to do. I hope I get to arrive here alive. So it's really fantastic. It is a culmination of the years that we've spent thriving, living authentically, and striving towards our goals. Arrival, and when we think about arrival, it is a powerful moment where all our hard work and all those hours spent, some of us are mothers, not me, some of you are mothers, we spent those moments trying to build, where you create your opportunity, but that hard work meets it, and when your dreams become a reality, and you step confidently into those spaces. As always, these events cannot happen without partners, so to everyone involved, thank you so much for making this happening. Linda, WesBank, thank you guys so much for opening your doors, your hearts to us, Castrol, who continue to fuel our journey forward. And then we also proudly support the Nabai Foundation as our CSI initiative today. Nontreba Bandukula is here with us. Please chat and connect with her. Everyone's got a name tag. Mine got printed late, but so please mingle, connect with everyone, and connect with her during that, and connect with each other. So without any further ado, let's arrive. Let's be present. Let us take in these moments with each other, listen to the women that are going to be speaking. I'm going to purely be a fly on the wall today. But to do your official opening and welcome, I'd like to call Nishani Chetty to please come up and say a very warm welcome.
Good morning to our extraordinary women and to our wonderful male allies. Welcome to the 9th annual Women with Drive event. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with each and every one of you today. 9 years ago, as Layla mentioned, we started with just 40 women who believed in connection and shared dreams. Today, I look out to over 150 incredible faces, all united by one powerful truth. You have arrived. I'm sure you all will agree with me, is that each one of you have overcome challenges, seized opportunities, and also refused to accept limitations. You don't just belong here, you were meant to be here. Now, you're probably thinking, what does arrival mean? Well, arrival is that moment when your hard work and your preparation meets opportunity. It's when you realize that every challenge you've navigated, every skill that you've developed, and every barrier that you've overcome, all of that brought you to this moment. You've spent years growing, learning, and now you are fully alive in your potential. If you look around you, every person here has a story of arrival. Every person here has broken through barriers that once seemed impossible. I want to honor our partners that has made today possible, especially our two headline partners who powers dreams and drives change. WesBank, thank you for opening your doors and hearts to us. These beautiful facilities show what happens when organizations truly believe in the power of women. You don't just talk about inclusion, you create spaces for it to happen. Vian sitting there in the corner, thank you for being the wonderful champion that you are at WesBank. Thank you for making it possible for us to call the stunning venue home today and for your unwavering support of this community. Castrol, you have been powering our journey for years, not just as a sponsor, but as a true partner. Your lubricants keep our engines running smoothly. But more importantly, you help keep moving our dreams forward. Melanie, sitting right here in front of us, you've been the heartbeat of this partnership. Your commitment to supporting women in mobility has transformed our partnership into a genuine sisterhood. Thank you for believing in us year after year. Today, we represent something powerful. We represent every young woman who looked at technology and wondered how it worked. Every woman who was the only female voice in the room, and every professional who chose the path of excellence regardless of the obstacles. Your arrival here today is not just about you. Every time you step confidently into a room, you open doors for others. Every time you speak up, you show another woman her voice matters. You're not, well, you are proving that women don't just belong in this industry. We are essential to its future. Let's also acknowledge the incredible men who have championed us along the way. I want to give special recognition to my mentor, Eugene Herbert. Eugene, you didn't just open doors for me, you taught me how to build my own. Your quiet strength and unwavering belief has shaped not just my career, but my character. Thank you for showing me that true mentorship means believing in someone's potential before they can even see it themselves. Today, there is a Today, as part of the program's CSI initiative, we proudly support the NABI Foundation that focuses on education, skills development, and creating pathways for young people to build meaningful futures. True arrival means lifting others as we rise. As we move forward with today's program, let's do three things. First, celebrate yourself. You've worked hard to be here. Second, connect deeply. Build relationships that will fuel your next chapter. And third, let's commit to lifting others, opening doors for women that's still on their journey. Arrival isn't a one-time event. It's a mindset. It's the confidence to walk into any room knowing that you belong there. Over the next few hours, you'll hear from women who have shattered glass ceilings and turned challenges into opportunities. You'll be inspired, challenged, and equipped for your next level of arrival. So let's make today count, ladies. Let's learn from each other, celebrate each other, and support each other's success. Welcome to Women Would Drive Alive. Your time is now, your place is here, and your future is bright. Let's make this day unforgettable. Thank you.
You guys hear me count? I'm really scared of stairs and heels, so I have to count my way through it. I was really bad at maths in school. But what I do know is I have to pay off a car. I know WesBank is where some of my money is going to. I had a chat with Linda beforehand, and she said we'll reconvene after this. But before we get to Linda and we hear what Linda has to say, I've been given so much power today. I get to have my own Oprah moment. So if you all look under your chairs, a winner might see a little bit of something. I'll give you guys 3 seconds. I'm kidding. It's right here. So I wanted to get us involved. You didn't see that coming, eh? So I've got a driver training voucher, a complimentary driver training voucher from MasterDrive. It's valued at a lot of money. And I'm going to keep it for myself. Now, I've decided to take a look around the room, and I came down this way. They say the Poppy Act because people keep taking photos of me. So I'm hoping that none of these get posted. So, ma'am, what's your name? Charlene. Charlene? Congratulations. Also, on top of all of that, I have 9 more to give away. So keep doing things. I'm keeping an eye on all of you throughout the day. Perfect. Keep waving. I would please like to welcome onto the stage Linda Cele, product head, key accounts and partnerships at WesBank, to just have her signature address. This is your moment, Linda.
Okay. Good morning, ladies, and officially welcome to the home of WesBank. We're very pleased to have you here, and thank you to MasterDrive for hosting these events and giving us a platform to come and engage as women in the industry. So today I've been asked to share my journey with you. If we can just go to first slide. And it's really about my journey in financial services. I've called it banking on growth because literally it was about me banking on growth. And I think this conversation is important. And the reason is, in South Africa today, the stats are today that, and Paulina's here, so she'll correct me if I've got the wrong stats from an economist perspective. 47% of women experience expanded unemployment rates in South Africa versus 39% of men. So that means we are disproportionately impacted by unemployment. So for those of us who are here and have the privilege of being employed, how we show up becomes even more important. And I hope that as I share my story with you today, there will be elements that you can take and apply to your journey in your chosen field, whatever your career is. So the first, oh, now my notes are gone because my laptop my laptop closed, but I will carry on. If we go to the next slide, the first thing I wanted to do is tell you about my story. And Layla mentioned it before, and I think somebody else mentioned it earlier. It was Deidre. Trying to talk about ourselves and what our story is quite difficult as women because we relate who we are to a lot of different things. I'm a mother. Am I my role at work? What am I? And as I spent time thinking about that, I felt that the closest thing, or maybe the most deepest thing that relates to who I am is my family. If we go to, I keep on asking to go to the next slide when they gave me a clicker. Sorry, guys. So who I am, that's my family there. That's my mom and dad. They were divorced at that time, but hugging like they've been in love for years. And then behind me are my siblings, and that's me sitting down. So who I am really, I'm my father's daughter. If people who know my father know that I am Mini Freedom, that's his name. So him and I were driven by logic, we're problem solvers, and we have a strong desire to succeed. So a lot of the strength that I feel like I exude at most times comes from him. But with all that harsh, I guess it comes across as harsh sometimes. I think my added benefit is having my mother's heart. I believe I've got my mother's heart, or I cling on to my mother's heart as much as I can. And she has probably been the motivator for everything I do. Everything I do, whether I'm here at WesBank, wherever you see me, know that the biggest motivation is for me to become the best mother I can be. So her love, her intelligence, she was a very passionate teacher. And that's why I appreciate the education sector. She's passionate, and all of those things are things that I hold on to as I grow and try to become the leader that I aspire to be. Then my siblings, along with my husband now, I'm not going to exclude my husbands, but my siblings have been with me for longer. They probably they probably form the core of my support system. So for them, it's really, again, their love, their support, their guidance, their counsel, that has really fostered the ability in me to be in spaces and collaborate effectively. The best of who I am is probably reflected in their personalities and in who they are. And similarly at work, some of my best work is achieved when I'm able to collaborate. So that ability to collaborate has come inherently in me. So in a nutshell, I am because they are. What I want to do now is I'm going to share stories about different stages of my career. I'll pick one or two stories in each stage. And then what are the challenges I experienced and what are the lessons that came out of those challenges? Because I think challenges are as important as our wins. So how I became an emerging professional in banking. Banking was not a chosen path. In fact, in my 4th year of trying to be a CA, I didn't make it through. Kind of got deregistered halfway through the year. But I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken because I'd put in a lot of effort in that. I had the option to go sit at home and wait for the next year, but I chose to work. And within a couple of months, I was very lucky to get a job in private banking. It was a great job. I think for a starter job, it was a great beginning for me. But my challenge was, now I wasn't sure where I fitted anymore. I didn't know if I was really committed to becoming a CA. If I think back to why I wanted to become a CA in the first place, it was so that I can do something else. When I get the qualification, I was like, if I'm a CA, I can go work anyway. So there wasn't a real tangible association with being a CA. Then in banking, because we're in, they didn't like to call it a call center, but it was a call center. Everybody's next goal was to become a banker. And whenever I asked, what's so fun about becoming a banker? You get to see clients. And I'm like, yeah. And I really didn't understand what the push was for that was. So I had to spend a bit of time figuring out where I fitted in. And that brings me to maybe explaining what my challenges were. So I've always had a clear vision that I wanted to succeed, but what I really lacked was the how. How am I going to achieve the success? And again, luckily for me, my employer had gave us access to career coaches. And my career coach taught me 2 things at that time. One, I like to build and grow things. If I put my effort into something, I need to be able to see it grow. And he kind of made that analogy close to a farmer. A farmer plants something and they can see the seed grow. 2, I'm a multi-potentialite. I can go into any industry, any job, and most likely succeed. But the drawback with that was choosing a path is very difficult for multi-potentialites because you can be good here and you can be good there. Trying to stick to what you want to do becomes difficult. So that became the foundation of how I at least found my bearings as I grew in my career. The second part I mentioned earlier, my friends were progressing. They were now starting to do their articles and they were passing and they're doing well. My colleagues, even though they were going to banking, I was like, why are you going to be a banker? They're also progressing and they're doing well and I'm stuck. And some of the decisions I made was because now I'm like, I'm being left behind and I'm supposed to be smart. Why am I being left behind? But it took me a while to learn this. And my sister, my older sister, was probably very pivotal in me understanding this. Was I needed to learn to compete with myself. I needed to be able to say, from where I am today, tomorrow, am I in a better place? And then one thing that I think we're probably shy to speak about, especially in corporate, is after failing, my self-esteem was shot. I still spoke as if I'm this confident leader, but I was hurting. My self-esteem was shot. And for the first time, again, relied on the resources available for me in the bank, and I enlisted the help of a professional. And it wasn't just about, oh, let me speak to a shrink and let's have a conversation about my crisis, but it was around how do I formulate my personal development and what tools can I be given to help me navigate? Because you're not just navigating your career, you're navigating your internal side as well. And that was probably the first time where I got to understand the value of seeing professionals in that manner. Then fast forward, I decided I'm going with banking. CA is going to take me too long. I don't like it anyway. Education is not my friend. So I decided I'm going to be a banker. But I'm not going to be a banker just because I want to see clients. I remember my first interview at FNB, it was in Straaten. I told them, I'm coming here because I want to be a leader. I am very clear, I want to be a leader. And they were taken aback. Here's this little 23-year-old who's only worked 2 years in her life, and she's telling us that she wants to be a leader. So I raised some eyebrows. But what that did, because I was clear about where I wanted to go, is within 3.5 years, I got into my first leadership role. I became a sales and service manager within private bank. Thank you. So now I'm in a new game. I'm in a new space. My colleagues are all seasoned people who have been in banking for years, first of all. And now my peers are reporting into me. That's uncomfortable for them and me. And a lot of the going out times that I had with my friends now started decreasing because the interaction was kind of weird. So I felt I'm in a different space. And that perhaps led to what are the main things I learned at this space in my career. So I encountered a lot of people who raised their eyebrows when I articulated what it was that I wanted to do. It was either, you're not going to do that. Who do you think you are? It's taken somebody 5 years to do that and you're trying to do it in 3 years. And we get a lot of those voices. And sometimes when we're not careful what we let inside, we can get tripped by those negative voices. So I learned to disregard the negativity, but look for the constructive criticism, because those are the elements that will help me grow. Then I leaned more on my voice. I want to be a leader because I know I can. I know I have the potential. And then also lean more on my sponsors, those who believed in me, those who saw the potential in me. And that really helped me in my journey. Then again, like I said, I'm a new leader, and imposter syndrome gets us. It's probably one of the biggest things that gets us as female in leadership roles. Do I belong here? Do I have the right skill? And I find myself shrinking really in moments when I did not need to shrink. And what I realized was the journey was perhaps the journey to being a leader. Maybe it's a journey rather than a destination. I think soon after I became a sales and service manager, within 1 year and 9 months, I was invited to work, or rather to interview, to work with the CEO of Structured Finance Solution. Now, again, it's a different industry. I'm working with people who have been CEOs and heads of credits with deep knowledge of business for years. And again, I was struggling to figure out, what's my value in the space? Do I shrink and watch everybody else? Or do I stand with conviction and say, I'm here and I'm here to learn? And it was my leader at the time who actually reminded me that we did not bring you here so that you can be like the rest of us. We brought you here so that you can bring in your elements and bring in your value into this space. So I really started to holding on to the fact that this is a continuous journey. If my leader, who's been a CEO for 12 years, is telling me that his journey was growth and he's still growing, then I can apply that to myself as well. And that really helped me and motivated me to do more. Again, leadership, I was comfortable that I am a leader. But again, visualizing what my next step was, because I'm now in an uncomfortable space, became difficult again. And I remembered, you're multi-potentialites, don't fall into the trap of jumping around just because you can. And I drew on my past experience. I find myself a mentor. On LinkedIn, I literally messaged a lady I didn't know. And I said, hi, Victoria, will you be my mentor? She said, yes. So if you're looking for a mentor and you're struggling to find, do both things like that, just go find somebody. But at the same time, I realized it's not just about the mentor. I enlisted the help of a coach again. And the conversation changed. And really now it was about, how do I manage things that are within my control? And how do I manage how I interact with things that are not in my control? And that really helped me as I started to, well, as I wanted to grow and develop. That took me to a space where I was like, okay, fine. I'm not sure where I want to go, but I went to my boss again. I said, Mike, I'm ready for growth. I'm not sure what it is, but I need a challenge. I've been here 3 to 4 years. I need a challenge. Then I fell pregnant. It was planned, but my planning was a bit too meticulous because I fell pregnant within 2 months of deciding I wanted to. And in that time, mostly when you fall pregnant in the working environment, you feel like, oh, does this mean that my career is now going to stall? Am I not going to be in growth pipelines? What I did was I still went to him and I said, look, I need a challenge. Ooh, okay, thank you. Is that 1 minute or? Okay, I'll speed up. What was I saying? I felt pregnant, but I stayed clear around I need an opportunity to grow. And the moment I came back from maternity leave, he had an opportunity to come into fleet management and leasing. And he said, you want a challenge? Now come. So this was the first time that I was afforded an opportunity to not only participate in Exco, but be an integral part of the executive committee. And that's really about where I am now. And the lessons here are perhaps different. I think as women, remembering that our work does not speak for ourselves is something that's important, and I always knew that. But when you get to an executive level, it's the subtle nuances of being in that space that sometimes matter more. So being able to read the room, some might call it politics, can make a big difference in your career. The next thing I've learned or I've realized is that lobbying is as important as collaboration. So if you have a project that you want to do, go lobby with your stakeholders. And what that will do is it's going to give you ideas. It's going to give you feedback so that when you're presenting your idea or your project, it's something that you already have support for. And it was mentioned before by Layla and by Nishani, lifting as you grow is important. It's important for all of us in the corporate space, but more for us because of the disadvantages that we face. We are more susceptible to unconscious bias than men are. Women tend to be judged by output and men more so by potential. So creating spaces where we allow women to grow, where we have created room, becomes very important. So yes, I think, oh no, I do have one more slide. I'll be quick. I'll be quick, Sam. My journey has been great. I can't lie and say I haven't been privileged in the space that I'm in. I've learned a lot, I've done a lot, but the biggest benefit has been part of a group that is committed to developing women. I'm not going to name all of the initiatives, but for the first time, we have a female who's the CEO of FirstRand. We've got development programs, and the spend that is put towards skills development in our organization has shot up. And beyond that, we're a group that does not only focus on developing women within the organization. There's a lot of work that we've done around developing women in business. We focus on ESG programs. There's a particular focus within our commercial segment that speaks to how do we develop women in the business area? How do we give them solutions that allow them to grow? And how do we give them those in a way that's easily accessible, like Fundaba? So if you're in a space where you're given a lot, I think it's important to make use of I guess the added advantages that your employers provide you. But that should not stop you from seeking them if you're not in that space. And more importantly, I think we must always remember, lift as you grow. Lift as you grow and celebrate every single moment, and acknowledge your growth as well as your failures. Sometimes your failures are more important than the nice things in life, because that gives you grit and it gives you strength. So yeah, now that's me. Thank you.
You went over time. It's okay. They gave us power. They said we can stand here. It goes straight to the head. I also know every time I stand up here, I look like a piece of meat because you guys want prizes. But I'm going to move on. I'm more than just a giver. We're gonna move on to our next speaker. I've always dreamt of being an F1 driver. I shouldn't be. But the next speaker, our keynote address, Melanie van Straaten, head of Castrol Southern Africa, said she's going to make me an F1 driver. So give her a round of applause so she can come chat to you guys.
I said we're going to do go-karting first. Baby steps. You know, normally, guys, if I can just take this out. I'm a pacer. There we go. That's better. I'm a pacer when I speak. So I don't really like to stand behind the podium because then I feel like you're all looking at me like really closely. Firstly, honor and a privilege again to the MasterDrive team. You know, you've asked me so many times to speak. So I had to deeply reflect. You know, you sent me the list of questions and it's always around, you know, how did I get to where I am? You know, and it's all the stuff you want to say, but I decided to pivot today. And people that know me will know that something I'm very, very well known for is authenticity. So I decided to come here today and be extremely vulnerable. So if I'm going to tell you my journey, let's have a real conversation. Because journey is not just about stepping into that corporate door one day. It's not, right? There's this whole story before that. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning. But I'm not going to give exact dates because then I'm going to give away my age. And we don't do that. We agree in this room. At the age of 19, I realized I was gay. In a South Africa in the 90s, that wasn't okay with that. In fact, my own family wasn't okay with that, you know. So, you know, starting my journey in the world already felt like I was fighting some sort of battle, because not only was I being judged by men, I was being judged by women. I was being judged by people that were supposed to love me. So that's a journey, right? That's where it starts. Before we get to a world that judges you for your gender, we start with the journey that judged you for who you loved. But there's a good story in that, because I had a father that loved me so much, he actually did not care. So I spent majority of my time with my dad. And the funny thing is, my dad's a mechanic, right? And for those old enough in the room, and those who laugh, I'm going to know how old you are. You will remember the area of Castrol of Boet and Swaar. Yeah, so all of you. Yeah, Boet, yeah, Swaar. So I had a dad that was convinced that there is only one oil in the whole world. And if you don't use this oil, your car will break. Okay? It was a fact. So I had a dream very early on that I wanted to work at Castrol, believe it or not. But that's where the journey, so that's where the journey really begins, right? Because to have this dream to work at this company. Now, for those that don't know, in the year 2000, BP, British Petroleum, purchased Castrol. Okay. I'm going to give away my age now. I'm matriculated in 99. We were unfortunately not very well off. I had parents that couldn't afford to send me to university. I unfortunately at the time did not qualify for a bursary. So, you know, I had to embark in this world with the inability to go and study. And to my demise, to find out that BP had this rule that you could only work there if you had a degree. So I was like, okay, we need to take this step by step, right? So I decide, well, I need to get a job. So I get a job at an umbrella company, believe it or not. I'll never forget it. Caribbean Shade, good day. I was a Girl Friday. Do you remember that great title they gave us? You weren't a receptionist. You weren't good enough for that. You were a Girl Friday. At first, I thought I was only going to work on Fridays, but I was horrified when I found out I had to go there Monday to Friday, and I only got paid for like a Friday job. And so, you know, as I started working, after a year, realized, you know, I got to do more. I got to do more. If this dream's going to come true, I'm going to have to accelerate this pace just a little bit more. And then after a year, I decided I need to look for another job. So I got a job at Weatherly's. All the fancy ladies, do you remember Weatherly's, the wonderful furniture company? La-di-da. I used to get inspired daily with all these rich people that could spend my whole year's salary on a couch. Whole year's salary on a couch. And so I started working there in stock control. And I got this interesting little weird passion for supply chain. So weird. I didn't even know what supply chain was, but I was like, it was really cool figuring out stock and making it get delivered. I'm going to cut a long story short. I spent 10 years there and ended up being the head of their supply chain. But here's the catch. I decided in 2007, I had saved enough money to start my first year of university because Castrol was always the dream. And that was in 2007. And 6 months into the journey, I was shot in a hijacking. My partner at the time was shot in the head in the same hijacking. So now the conundrum happens, right? And I told you I was going to be vulnerable here today. And I want to stand here and tell you this long dramatic story about how it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But I'm actually going to tell you it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because that is where my resilience and grit actually comes from. That is the pivotal moment in my life that I decided I would no longer, ever again be a victim of anything. I would not be a victim of my gender. I would not be a victim of my sexual choices. I will get the job at Castrol and I will head that business. And I will spend the rest of my time helping other women realize that the only barrier that exists is the one you decide exists. Right? So needless to say, a lot of bad years, you know, the financial stress that comes from an incident like that took me years to get out of. But the point is, I carried on studying. Despite that financial stress, I got a part-time job on the weekends and in the evenings to help pay both medical bills and studies. And finally, in 2014, I got my BCom in business management. Yeah. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was getting a job at Castrol. So I start the application process, okay? And I must have applied, I don't know, easily for 30 jobs, okay? Everyone was declined. Only knowing after the fact that those were petrol jobs, which I didn't really want, right? I don't really want those. And then I was at a company at the time, which you ladies will also connect with. I was the head of group logistics for Straaten International Fashion, Swarovski, Spillhouse, White House Linen. Yeah, you're all going, oh, cool job, hey? And I got this call one day from Michael Page, you know, the recruitment agency, and they said, Mel, we have the one. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, it's Castrol. I said, okay, let's do this. Now you're in that conundrum space, right? So now, because I've gone through all those awkward interview questions, you're all going to relate now. What does your husband do? So I'm like, my husband does nothing, but my wife works. So I'm in this conundrum, right? Because, you know, how do I answer that question? This is my dream job. You know, I can't go into this interview going, you know, well, actually, you know, I'm kind of gay. Is that okay? You know, yeah, like, what do you do? And I'll never forget, you know, I was like, I had this whole thing prepared. I was going to sort of just skirt around it and just I'm single and, you know, just skirt around it. But then about 20 minutes before the interview, I thought, you know what, actually, if this is going to be my dream job, they need to pick me because I'm me. Right? So I go into this interview and guys, trust me, it's hardcore. There's like a panel, 6 people. Okay. Like you're on trial. Okay. Like I wasn't sure who was the most important person. And normally for interviews, I'd like get my hair done, just for those, my wife's a hairstylist. So I'd get my hair done all fancy. And I was like, nope, I'm going there in my bun and my undercut. I got to be me. So I do. I go to this interview, panel of 6 men, but like hardcore men, you know. The boss at the time was Craig Williams, and he was like, how's it? I was like, hi. So what do you know about lubricants? So I say to him, so funny story. The guys that own Studderford International Fashion own Loveland. So I can tell you about a lot of rugby players and lubes. And that broke the ice, right? We get to the final question. What does your husband do? I'll say, my wife's a hard worker. He's like, okay, cool. That's lekker. And I got the job. I walked into Castrol as a junior logistics excellence manager. So sort of like 3 or 4 titles down, right, from where I was coming. But I was like, I don't care. I do not care. And I'm going to quickly, in the 5 minutes I've been given left, tell you the steps, okay? Because that was 2017, July, the 1st that I started. Kind of like Independence Day. It was pretty cool. I started there on the 1st of July. 6 months later, I was promoted to the head of logistics for South Africa. 12 months later, I was promoted to the head of logistics of Africa. 18 months later, I was promoted to the head of logistics and operations for Africa. 9 months later, I was promoted to head of sales for South Africa. 14 months later, head of Castrol Southern Africa. It took me 6 years to achieve my dream. Once the door was open for me. I've got a particular message that I spent a lot of time thinking, and I'm going to read it, but it's on purpose because I want to leave you, because I was asked to say, you know, what message do I leave of the women leaders of the future? And here it is. Authenticity and vulnerability creates human connection outside of our differences. Nobody wins or loses, and we never leave anyone behind. Be intentional about leaving a legacy of wholeness and not just achievements. One of unlocked doors and actual change, and not just a greatly navigated journey. and leave a voice of courage and authenticity. My hope for the women future leaders is rooted in incredible potential of a country that holds both deep wounds and deep wisdom, and that the new generation of women leaders will be stepping into a world shaped by legacy systems of inequality, but also a place of radical possibility. And I hope that they will experience, shape, and lead a truly inclusive economy, a workplace where identity is a strength and not a barrier, and leadership that looks like the country they believe in, a culture of healing and not just the hustle. Be bold, disruptive, and change-making. Thank you.
Well, we always love when we get up here and we get to tell our stories, and while we stop moving the chairs forward. The only difference, I think, in mine and Mel's story, my dad's a priest. So try having that conversation. Difference being my dad was okay. My mom, the colored auntie from Bredasdorp, who was an Afrikaans teacher, that's a whole story on its own. And you speak about living authentically and living with authenticity. And I was part of the first group of matriculants from Cura Hermanus in 2015. So I'm giving my age away. I'm a baby. And throughout my entire life, sport was my dream. Sport was my focus. Sport was what I wanted to do. I was part of the Junior Town Council for Overstrand and all of those things. And all the kids and the little kids kept coming to me and telling me, you know, Layla, you're an inspiration. Layla, what can we do? We want to be like you. And until I made peace with who I am and myself, I could not live authentically. I couldn't be the inspiration for the young kids that they wanted me to be. Now I can own that space. Now I can truthfully say to women who send me messages and DMs saying they want to come into the broadcasting world, they want to come into the male broadcasting, they want to come into the rugby space, I can say, because I'm living authentically, because I'm engaged to the most incredible woman in the world, I am now able to be a light for those who want to break those glass ceilings. Which brings me to the incredible panel that we're going to have today. Women who have, you guys have taken my notes away too now. Women who are breaking glass ceilings every single time that they are around. Actually, I want to do something fun before we get into the serious panel chats. I've got 2 MasterDrive complimentary vouchers to give away. Ladies and our allies, gentlemen that are here, we've got a Women's Rugby World Cup that's starting next weekend. The Springbok women are hoping to be there. So I'm going to give tickets, or they're going to be there. They're hoping to get into the quarterfinals. I'm going to give 2 tickets away. Who knows which pool the Springbok women are in? D. There we go. Springbok women have been drawn into Nicole. Congratulations, Nicole. Springbok women have been drawn into Pool D. I have to think of another one. Okay, another one. It's rugby. I have to. This is relatable for me. The Springboks are playing this weekend. I need to know, where are they playing and who are they playing against? Right here in front. There we go. And you know, I'm trying. Oh, there we go. There we go. I see the green light. Groen lig, rooi lig. Okay, let's get into probably one of the main reasons why we are here. I had to stop the women around my table from having all the deep conversations right here because I wanted you guys to be a part of it. So I would like to call Mokebe Thulo, CEO at aware.org, onto the stage. Dr. Paulina Mamogobo onto the stage. Love when I get to say doctor. I'd like to call Paul Chokwe onto the stage, head of motor fleets at ISA. I'd like to call upon Joanne de Freitas, marketing manager, Dunlop, South Africa. And then last but not least, I'd like to call upon Lebogang Letswalo to come onto the stage. This is my seat. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies. All their mics working. There we go. I thought we were missing one. I was like, not sure who was gonna be here. Everyone, mics working. Let's do mic check 1, 2. Everyone happy? Perfect. Ladies, our theme for today is breaking through glass ceilings in traditional industries. Joe, I'm going to start with you purely because you're here. And ladies, I want this to be a discussion, right? We spoke about this around the table. If you feel you want to give your input mid-conversation, please do. I said I wanted to be a fly on the wall. Joe, I'm going to start with you, and you can open it up and feel free to jump in. When we think about breaking those glass ceilings, you know, what does that incite inside of you? What do you see?
I think for me, first of all, can I thank MasterDrive for having us here today and all these amazing women that are sitting in front of us and on the panel. And of course, Layla, amazing. Breaking glass ceilings for me is seeing women break through barriers that have previously been held by men. We'll say it as it is. I love the authenticity. Thank you, Mel. We'll keep on that track. It's looking at the females in our industry. So with Dunlop Tires, we have a factory, and in that factory, we have machinery, and we have female engineers, we have chemists, we have women that are really, really breaking barriers. And I've been there for 20 years. So for me to have seen these women go from receptionists and administrative clerks, all the support roles, to coming through into the forefront for me is breaking ceilings, breaking glass ceilings. It's been fantastic.
Ladies, Mokebe, I'm going to come to you. You know, as your credibility as a female CEO, you know, what has served you well? Have we broken through enough, or are there still more that you can see we need to do as women in the space?
I mean, I think, Layla, oh yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah. Welcome to all the ladies here this morning. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be up here. Layla, I think there's a few pieces to your question. And, you know, when I hear breaking the glass ceiling, I actually get a little bit uncomfortable because I think to myself, surely I heard this 20 years ago. Surely when I was a little bit younger, 20 whole years ago, I heard breaking the glass ceiling, and it was, you know, that's what we were going to do. And I am a little bit disappointed that we're still apparently trying to break the glass ceiling. I think we should certainly be a lot further than we are at this point in time. When it comes to your question about do we as women still have a lot of work to do? I do think the answer is yes. I think we'll always have a lot of work to do in terms of representing ourselves and putting our best foot forward. But I certainly do not think the onus should fall upon us to be the ones to do the right thing. I mean, we live in a world that has built systems that are built to put us in a certain position, always at the 48%, the 46%, the 40%, but never quite the 52, 55, 60, 80. It is not our job to fix the system, but we do it anyway. We do it anyway because we know that we are more than capable of doing the job. And how I do it is I ensure that I come to the party and I bring my whole self to the party. And I do my bit, and I do work in spaces and create changes and create spaces where changes can be created and conversations can be had and action can be taken without us just talking, but actually doing. And I think that's where the important part comes in. And that's why forums such as this are so important, because it's not just about the talking. It's about showing that it can be done, it has to be done, and that we have to continue doing what is working and seeing what it is that we have to improve on.
Mpo, I see you nodding your head. I mean, the action along with the conversation and the talking is really important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't separate, you know, the action from the talking, right? And I think we are seeing that in our industry, the industry that I'm in is a male-dominated industry. Things have changed, you know, in that space, but we haven't quite reached where we said when I joined the industry. I'll give away my age as well. I think all of us have given away our ages this morning, but when I joined the industry like 16 years ago, I walked into a room and it was full of men. There wasn't a single woman that was sitting in there. There were not women who were holding leadership positions in my industry, you know, but it was there on paper. We need to change things. We need to fix things. We need to see more female leaders. We need to, and all that work, right? But we're not quite there yet. So there has been changes that have been made in the industry, you know. It is there on policy that change needs to happen, right? But we want to put, of course, the right people in the right positions, not only based on their gender. That says because you're a woman and it's all men there, or because you're black and it's only white people there, we'll just put you in there. We are actually putting in the hard work. We are actually putting what's on policy into action on a day-to-day basis. And the leaders that we are seeing sitting in the insurance industry, for example, you know, you're seeing the female leaders taking over, female CEOs, even in the organizations that we have, like the Gauteng Women of Insurance and all of those type of organizations that you have. These are female-led industries, you know, so the action is definitely there. We aren't quite there yet, and there's still a lot of work to be done, which is, of course, disappointing. But I'm happy that there is a lot of progress that we have made over the years.
Doctor, female economists. I love this. I love the glasses.
Right? Yeah.
It just adds, you know. So to talk to me about female economists within the mobility and that industry role, you know, how are you ensuring that someone can walk around and say, me personally, I'm a female economist. You know, I wanna understand so that us sitting in this room can start thinking and switching that way, because, and we said this around the table, unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves being the ones holding us back. Women are not clapping for other women to make sure that there are enough. The amount of women in a rugby comment section telling me what is a woman doing at a rugby field, it makes no sense. I want to hear from you. Talk to me about that female economist, because it's not something we hear every day.
Yeah, no, certainly. Thank you so much, Layla. And once again, thanks for the invitation. Such an honor to be here. Very interesting conversation. So one of the things that I've seen personally, and in particular, with my coming to occupy this role, is the importance as a female to continue developing yourself. I've always said whenever we talk about women in leadership and empowerment, it's about how intentional are you to ensure that you develop and capacitate yourself. I don't believe in being given a position because I'm female or I'm Black, but merit for me has always been that. When Linda was speaking earlier on, she also spoke about the issue of showing up. So it's interesting to say, I know I'm still a baby. I started working when I was really, really a toddler almost. That's how tiny I was. I was really a baby when I started working. But one thing I've always been intentional about is whenever I'm given an opportunity, make sure that you show up, but also in showing up, make sure that you don't turn down an opportunity because you feel you're not ready. Get there, capacitate yourself, but also when you're there, be intentional about finding people around that actually challenge you to be a level higher than where you were yesterday. So when I started working, I think I was 19, I was still a baby. But interestingly, I benchmarked my CV against the minister's CV. Because in my view, I said, I want to be an economist. I want to be where he is. What did he study? What did he do? But who is he hanging around with? What conversations is he having? What perspectives around economics are actually at play that I also need to immerse myself in that knowledge? So interestingly, the automotive industry hasn't had a chief economist before. We've had other industries that have had that. What that has done for me has said, how do you carve out this niche, but you make sure that you carve it out in such a way that it's not just because you are female that you are there, but to ensure that you are able to add value. So for me, it's that personal development, that reading, that immersing myself, that now I sit in a room with economists from R&B that have been there for 10 years. I sit with economists from agriculture, etc. And you realize that I actually earned my space here. I can have the same conversation. I can have the same contribution. And for me, it's that integrated knowledge has really played a huge role in shaping who I am today. I was speaking to Mokebe earlier on to say, even if it's not the thing as a female, it's the thing that leads to the thing. So do not undermine any opportunity that you are given, be it as an admin person, be it, make sure that at the end of the day, as an economist now, I see every role that I've occupied before actually contributing to this particular role. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely clap for that. Lebogang, we speak about upskilling, we speak about walking into the space and making sure that you stay on top of your game in that space. You're a coach, you're a CEO. How do you push others, but ensure you're pushing yourself to make sure you stay at that level?
Very interesting. And good morning, ladies. You all look beautiful. And the gentlemen that are supporting, by the way. I mean, if you look at our conversation, it's around how we break the ceiling, the glass ceiling, and how do we get to the top? How do we ensure that we accomplish in life? Isn't that what we want? And it's about being results orientated. So I think for most of us as business people and also as professionals in our own right, the most important part of growth is being developed, right? Like what the doctor is saying. So as a coach, part of the work that I do is being able to uplift functional mentorship and coaching in the industry, but also work with entrepreneurs to be able to be sustainable in their own rights, in their business. So why is that important? The reality is that to be able to get to the next level, you need to be elevated. So the work that I do allows me to be able to be a sponsor in the industry. I spent most of my time for the past 25 years in corporate and 10 years in business. And all of it has been around how to become a sponsor into the next employee in the business, because your growth as an employee depends on someone out there being able to speak of you in the boardrooms when you are not there. The same as with business. Who refers you out there? So that's one part that I teach the entrepreneurs and also the professionals. But the second part that I always speak of in terms of coaching and mentoring is around how you build the affluence and influence in the industry. Because most of you, if you are professionals and you are leaders out there, you get respected, right? How many CEOs do you know out there that when they are in certain corporates, they are respected? And the moment they are out, what happens to them? We tend to forget about them, isn't it? So for me, coaching is very dynamic in a sense that I build entrepreneurs to get to, professionals to an extent that they build the influence and affluence that is needed to be able to grow, so that you understand that you're not the CEO, you're not the COO, but you become the person that will be recognized outside the industry as well, because it's very important. You need to be remembered. So what does it take to be able to get there? It comes with networks. You know, when they say your network is your net worth, utilize it. For all of you as women here, you're not here just to come and listen to us as part of the conversation. How do you ensure that this network becomes your net worth in your growth and also in your development? But more so, how do you collaborate? And collaboration means that building relationships with industry associations. How do you self-develop yourself without waiting for your employer to get you into the next level as well, which is just as important? How do you ensure that you make impact as well in the industry? Because most of us, especially as entrepreneurs, what matters is that you make money, isn't it? But let me tell you this, making money, and part of coaching is really say, make impact and money will follow you. So we must never forget that. So there's a lot that I can say around that, but I think these are some of the key nuggets that I want you to remember, that part of it it's part of your growth
Yeah.
and part of your self-development.
Yeah.
But for myself, in terms of just getting to your question, I thought I must just build that picture.
Oh, we love the picture.
And
We love the picture. I thought of today as we're painting. Have you guys seen these artists that paint at weddings and paint as they go, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Every stroke in
Has a
that
meaning.
painting has a meaning
Yeah.
in that specific day. And that's what we're doing today. Where every stroke, every conversation, every build is painting this beautiful picture that we are sitting of and going to looking back today and thinking that is exactly what we've done. So keep building, keep painting. I
Okay.
want to hear the picture.
I want to get straight to now those specific nuggets that, these are some of the learnings and part of my growth in the industry that I've picked up and I get to instill as part of my coaching. One is around passion. And passion get us to the next level, being able to find your purpose. And for me, that's part of my self-development because it builds up the values and what I want to achieve, the purpose, the impact. And the second part for me is that being able to not fear, because we always have this mentality of taking risks. It becomes the biggest fear for us as individuals. So part of what I do in terms of now my own development is being able to contribute in a diverse environment, not just in South Africa, by the way, in Africa and globally as well. And that's how I develop myself, for me to be able to learn what happens outside my comfort zone and be able to instill it back as part of the coaching and the mentorship. And then lastly as well, which for me becomes the biggest driver of it all, is how I bring around partners in terms of my self-development, because I believe that even if I'm a coach, I learn from others. So I don't know everything, by the way.
Yeah.
So people have got a tendency of thinking that if you're a coach and a mentor out there, you know it all. That's not necessarily the case. So partner for building relationships, partner for building the skills, partner for building the capacity, partner also for building the person and your brand as well. It's very important. Thank you.
Can I add? Can I add?
Yeah, please.
I just want to sort of just add on to that. That's a remarkable way to look at things. And I just wanted to share something in our organization because it relates so closely to what you were talking about now. Our company has designed a leadership course that our top 11 ladies are on for a year. And our leadership team is from all over the country, so we don't see each other every day. We don't know each other intimately. And we come together for 3 days at a time every month and spend 3 days studying this course. I have some of my team, we call ourselves the tribe. So we have some of the tribe members here and our mentor as well. And it's been an absolutely incredible learning because, we spoke earlier at our table about imposter syndrome, am I good enough to be here? What do they see in me that I don't see in myself, etc. And we are absolutely pushing each other and there's healthy conflict because we're from different sides. We both want, the same things for the company, but we're fighting on the different sides. And it's been the most incredible journey. We are halfway through, so we've got another 6 months to go. And we just know that when you're going to get to the end of this, we are going to be such a close-knit female group within the organization. And from there, we will start with the mentoring and teaching all the learnings that we've taken through our experience and through this year. We will then bring on the younger ladies in the organization and sort of mentor them and let them know that anything is possible wherever they want to go and give them that encouragement. So it really does speak to personally what you're doing and as an organization of we're doing. So it's been absolutely fantastic.
Okay, but I want to come back to Lebohang's point about networking and having those conversations. I think the term, it's not what you know, it's who you know, has such a negative connotation. But I think in so many ways in our lives and what we're trying to do, we actually use our networks for a bigger cause. You're passionate about social impact and networking. Talk to us about that journey and what we can do together in a collaborative effort to ensure for social impact and social change.
I love your questions, Layla. And I also love the way you frame them. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I don't agree with that 100%. I think that what you know often doesn't matter if you know no one to share it with. That is what the problem is.
Yeah.
My analogy of life is always, if, that same whole story. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really fall? And fundamentally, it all comes down to that. And what that means from a networking and collaboration and forming partnerships point of view is all about positioning. So the way that I come into it is that I use my knowledge to get me into those spaces. I use my knowledge to help me have those conversations. And I find my point of positioning. And the way that I'm able to position myself is to understand what the need points of whomever it is that I'm talking to are. So if I'm talking to somebody that's a government representative, or I'm talking to a member stakeholder, or I'm talking to a member of the media, I know that everybody looks at the world from different stances and viewpoints, and what is it that they are looking to solve for. And once I understand that, and that includes my target audience in the work that Aware does, if I do not understand my target audience, then I'm lost in the water because I do not know how to communicate with them. And that is where it all comes from. We are, without collaboration, Aware.org, the organization that I work for, is really lost in the waters. Most of our work is based on collaboration. It's based on partnerships. And a huge part of my mandate has been building on some of these established partnerships and then opening the door on some new ones. And we've managed to do that as a team so well because my previous bread and butter is all about understanding brands and deep diving into brands, and what it means to understand brands is understanding people. And I think that speaks for all types of relationships. So in order for me to find the right partners, I need to know what I'm doing, which means that all of the work has to be data-led. I need to know where to find the people that I'm speaking to. I need to know what conversations I need to have with them. So I think all of that is important. There's a point that I wanted to speak about in terms of development and personal development. And that's one of the mantras we used to have many years ago, is that you need to be forever curious. So it doesn't matter how high up the so-called proverbial ladder you get, you need to be curious. You need to care about what it is you're doing, because if you don't care and you're not interested in furthering, whether it be book studies or whether it be what's happening in the industry, what's happening in the world, having a global view, you can't have conversations. You can't be in rooms with people. You can't add value to any of the spaces that you're in. So it is not just about who you know, it's certainly about what you know as well. But that certainly enables you to build those networks that are necessary to enable you to do the work that you need to do.
I want to touch on the point, Paul, about the diversification of voices and hearing. You've got a risk assessment background. You know, you have to take points and different thinkings about ways. How have you enabled yourself to not only understand different voices, different backgrounds, and the diversifications, but taking that in order to build proper solutions for others to take forth in what they try and do?
So I think everybody's touched on collaboration, right? And a part of managing risk is definitely collaborating with different stakeholders, right? So in the insurance industry, in the commercial space, you work with brokers, you work with the client. Your focus as the insurer is to make life easier for the insured, right? But collaborating with the broker is very important. Collaborating with the client is very important because you need to understand what it is that the client needs. Where does the risk of the client actually sit? You know, what is it that I need to protect and shield my insured from? So I can't only care about making money as an insurer. I need to care about the client first. That is where the need starts as a risk, as a risk person. That what is it that I need to get right for the insured, which is then obviously going to protect me as an insurer. If we give them nuggets and we say, try and doing this, try and look at your risk in a different way. Try and see how you can maybe mitigate certain risks in your space so that as the insurer, when I price you for an insurance product, for example, I'm not pricing because I just want to make money out of you, but I care about how your business runs and how your business will run profitably with me giving you nuggets and certain things that you need to do, you know? So it's very important to collaborate. It's very important to create relationships in the industry. industry. It's very important to know where your client sits, know where your broker comes into the fore, how the broker also has a huge impact on you as an insurer, how the broker has an impact on the insured as well, and how everything then comes together. And it's like baking a cake, right? If there's a missing ingredient there, your cake is gonna flop, you know? And I think it speaks to every single business that's sitting on the stage, is that if they are missing ingredients, and if we don't tap into those different units and those different places that we need, we're gonna flop. All our businesses are gonna flop. All our organizations are going to flop. So we keep on working together, and we keep on using certain things that we learn from each other as well to equip ourselves, so that at the end of the day, we have a well-running machine and a beautiful, delicious cake.
Absolutely. Doctor, we had this conversation at the table, and I'm gonna start poking the bear a little bit now, where they said, you know, a lot of the questions goes around, you know, what challenges have you had to overcome to get to it, having a male's holding me back kind of undertone to it. Are there those challenges, A, that you have had to face and have had to overcome, and B, are we physically seeing a male hold us back, or have we created a proverbial male in our brain that is taking up the space that we think we belong?
Thank you, Layla. So interestingly, to answer your question directly, the one major ceiling I've had to navigate is self. First acknowledging that I am me, I'm capable, I've got something to offer. I think most of the time we walk into the room and we create a perception. We think people are seeing us in a particular way, but the question is, how do you see yourself? A lot of things have always worked not in my favor. So I'll give you an example. In my studies, I'd be the youngest in class. My stature doesn't help me. My background doesn't help me. There's a lot of things, that layers that I would have to peel through. But one had to be intentional to say, how do I overcome that? How do I believe in me? How do I say I've got something to offer? I'll give you an example. When I was doing my MBA, or MBL to be specific, in class, 90% of the people were CEOs and MDs and of global companies. And you sit there, and I was still middle management in government. Already we know the perception that sometimes people have towards government. But I sat there and I thought to myself, if I start thinking that I'm incapable, already I've built a wall that not anybody has built it for me, but I'm building a wall that's actually healed during my progression. But immediately I said, I am me, I've got something to offer. I've got a vision, there's something I want to achieve. That's what enabled me to step up. My colleague Teresa here will tell you, we're in the automotive industry, it's male dominated. The automotive industry in South Africa is a globally integrated industry. So we have CEOs from everywhere. You walk in there and you can tell these are staunch men that have been in the industry for years. They are cultured differently. I mean, I love the Germans because I also love their brands, but you can tell those people have an interesting personality. But you walk in there and you say, I've earned my space here. How do I fight that imposter syndrome? How do I also ready myself for feedback? There's one CEO that we dread very much. He asks questions you never anticipate. But I started seeing him as a feedback loop. Actually, I look forward to seeing him because I realize he enlightens me to what I do not know. So going back to that question, sometimes it's not about how the next person sees me, but it's how I see myself. When I met my CEO, interestingly, it was last year, this date, because it was on my grandmother's birthday. She's turning 90 today. I was wearing these spectacles. Thank you. And my CEO says to me, we're having a conversation, and he says, you know, I love your profile, but your glasses, man. And I think I had picked him. And I said, you'll have to get used to it. And the interesting thing is, I like how it was me owning who I am and looking at the value that I'm able to add that actually afforded him to say, here's a blank canvas, paint it the best way you can. And also, interestingly, maybe if I can just mention that, especially for the males that are in the room, we really celebrate the males that give us an opportunity to be us. My CEO in particular said, I need you to do me a favor. And I was sharing it with the ladies on the table. Allow yourself to fail. And that for me was life-changing, because what that did to me, it said, I can be me and I don't need to try and be another person. And then I can actually be intentional to say, how do I add value from the truest version of myself. We spoke about authenticity, etc. And there's one thing I want to share maybe before I pause. There's a book I'm working on, and one of the chapters in there is the golden thread. And I took it from my PhD because whenever you're writing a PhD, they'll stress you, what's the golden thread from chapter 1 till the end? And that golden thread is, for those that do read the Bible, you did say your father is a pastor.
Oh, Lord.
It talks about, I knit you in your mother's womb. There's a thread that you are born with, and that's your authentic and real self. And wherever you are, if you show up as you, there's a version of you that you leave there that nobody, irrespective of their accomplishments, can ever do that. So when you show up in a particular place and you acknowledge that this is who I am, already you are breaking a ceiling that it doesn't matter who actually opposes you. Only you are able to give up of that. So the intentionality in that is that continue to knit a version of yourself, not a version of who the world expects you to be, but do that with excellence, without compromising, without make it an everyday's job to say, I want to be the best version of myself. And when you are able to do that, already you've broken a ceiling that it doesn't matter who shows up. The people that value and the people that value what you have to offer will find you. And the last point. When we talk about ceilings, I always say a ceiling, you see now we are on the first floor. This ceiling is actually a ground of a new dimension, which is the floor above. So that's how you should perceive ceilings. Whenever you break through a ceiling, know that you are in a new grade and there's still another ceiling that will continue to build. So there's no way there will never be a ceiling, but it's the intentionality that this ceiling is the floor of a new dimension, and that mindset that will keep propelling us forward. So,
Layla, sorry if I may.
Of course, I wanted to say that's why she's a doctor, right?
You know. Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. A couple of years ago, I was reflecting and I thought to myself, I do not know how this happened to me, but I was so grateful in that moment that somehow this narrative of I'm a girl and I need to be ABC, or I perceive myself as ABC because I'm a girl, whether I'm in primary school, high school, in varsity, starting out my career, that whole bit missed me. I think I give thanks to my parents, to the school that I went to, I don't know, the surroundings, but I never for a single second thought, because I am a woman, I am some sort of second-rate citizen or different to the men. The other thing is that people in leadership are still people. We are all human beings. So it's not a matter of people are untouchable or so-and-so is, I don't know, less human than I am. We are all human beings fundamentally. And that's how you walk into rooms and you're not scared to ask people questions and talk to them, because they, like you, are human beings. They may have had better luck. They may have had better opportunities. We don't know how people got to the places where they did, but they are there. But they have journeys, they have stories, they have weaknesses, they have assets, personality assets, and human traits. They are human, just like we are. And so there's no need for us to separate ourselves from other people. And in life, there will always be people that are further than you and people that you are further than. That is just the way the cookie crumbles. And if you have a path that you are set to go to and you have a goal, you move forward and you look towards your goal. And you learn from the people around you and you learn from the people that came before you. But this idea of separating ourselves and being like, oh, hail, so-and-so is the leader of the, I don't know, whatever tribe, clan. It's not that way. And oftentimes people are very generous with their time. They're very generous with their wisdom and the ability to share on the knowledge and their experiences. So we should take advantage of that as far as we can.
Resurrect.
The light is green. I'll predict. I think it must be too, because I never ever felt the type of woman I should be there. So I think we're on that same wavelength. That sense is
It's we've
again, it touches on your point, Doctor, that we place our own barriers for ourselves. And so Joe, I wanna come to you with all your knowledge and wisdom. We look at where this industry was. We look at where it is now and where it can go. Can you talk us through that journey of where it was, where we are, and what you want?
You've
You
died.
died again.
What you are most excited for becomes what comes, and what you'd love to see in years from now.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey watching the transition over the last 20 years. And as I'd said earlier, when I first started, we were really in our secondary roles within the organization. And I also arrived in my organization and just said, I'm not staying here. I'm going to be moving. And within the first 12 months, I had moved and started in marketing, and the journey just started from there. But even before that, I was in the shipping industry. So I've really been in a man's world, 13 years and then 20 years at Dunlop in a man's world. And the transition that I've seen over time has been absolutely incredible. And I speak within my own organization and in the sort of the sub-organizations that we work with. And I do a lot of work in motorsport. And when I started in motorsport, it was just men driving, men pit lanes, men owning series, men. And over time of being within that, I have seen female drivers, female pit crew, female series owners, and it's been a fantastic transition to see that. And I really just, like, my wish for every woman and female out there is to have the confidence to step out of your comfort zone. It can be really difficult, and it can look so daunting, but we are also capable. We're just too scared to take the step. So make yourself feel uncomfortable, step out of that and take on something that you want to do, but you've been hesitating to do it. Because I think in the future, we've got a lot of really talented, exceptional women in this country. And we really can hold any position anywhere. You know, there is no limit, there's no barriers. And I really encourage everybody, step out of your comfort zone, make yourself uncomfortable and learn. I think you'd said it earlier, learn from those around you. There's so many willing people who will sit with you and teach you about areas that you haven't tapped into. And yeah, there's no stopping us. We are going to reach all sorts of limits.
If we reconvened in 10 years from now, you know, what would the mobilities landscape look like? What would your dream be for that mobilities landscape?
You know, I love what Dr. Paulina has mentioned quite a number of times in her messaging, is that in most instances, she's always been the youngest person in the room, you know. She started working at a very young age. When I started working, leadership was only for older people. So 20-year-old Mpho saw me becoming a leader only when I'm 40, only when I'm 55 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I love how leadership in all our industries is looking younger and younger, right? And that's to say there's a lot of work that we're doing also from an emotional perspective, from an EQ perspective, right? Because back in the day, IQ was it. If you're smart, you'll be put in a role because you're intelligent, you're an A student, that's where you belong, that's all that matters. We don't care about whether you're a kind person or the soft and squishiness of you. Nobody really cared about that. But I love how things are now changing, you know, and a lot of work has been done on EQ, and a lot of work has been done on understanding self, on understanding others, right? And that means that that leadership role, you can take on a leadership role at the age of 25, you know, again, whether with or without the title, right? But I mean, because of the work that has been done from an emotional perspective, from an EQ perspective, on understanding self completely, knowing what it takes to lead people, you can take up that those kind of roles and fit in those roles and take up space within those roles, regardless of how old you are. So I love how, from an age perspective, we're not using age as a barrier to say, no, but you're too young to be in that role. You're too young to lead a global organization. You're too young to be an executive of an insurance company. No, you know, so I think when I look 10 years ahead, I'm not saying any of us here are old, all of us are still very young, but I think it's going going to look much younger. You know, it's going to be an industry that looks fresher, brighter ideas, you know, not only focusing on one element, very holistic in how we lead and how the industry looks, you know. And I think also, I mean, this is a women's event, but I mean, men are not the villains. And I think a lot of us have said this, that, I mean, a lot of us, some of the roles that we're in, we had male leaders who led us into those roles. We had male coaches who put us in those roles. Most of my roles that I have gone into, there was a man behind, you know, all of those roles. So men are not the villains, right? So I'm not saying that we should go and burn them at the stake or whatever. Absolutely not. You know, we will always appreciate the role that they've had, you know, in our life. But I love the fact that, you know, from an age perspective, from a gender perspective, we're not really going to worry more about the first female, whoever, or the first woman, whatever, you know, we're going to care about what you bring to the table, the substance of what you bring to the table. And I think that's definitely how the future looks for the mobility industry. Yeah.
Lebogang, we talk about success and success as a whole. How do we start measuring success in this industry? What do you look like? How do you look at yourself, look at the women who have come in? How do we measure that success? Is it tangible? Is it measurable?
I love this. Ladies, you tell me, how does success really look like? Is it really around accomplishments? Is it around that award that you get in the industry? Is it about being able to sit on a stage, being able to share the nuggets with all of you women? Is that success? Is that being the first woman, the first leader, the first CEO, the first COO? Is that the case? Is it about being the first woman? And for me, it's exactly not that. Because, and I'm going to touch to what you are saying, Doctor, around the glass, the ceiling, to say that one step over another step, it's still a journey. We are always en route. How does that really look like? And I'll just share something quickly. So I've got a 5-month-old.
You don't have to do anything quickly.
All right. I've got a 5-month-old, by the way, and I'm 46 years. So there is a reason that I'm sharing this, because all through my life, since I started being in the industry at the 20 years, I've been in supply chain and logistics. So what I've been doing is reaching one milestone after another, and have multiple awards globally. I've seen myself sharing stages with the most successful people. I've seen myself on media, on radio, on TV. I've seen myself advocating on behalf of a lot of women out there. And I still sit and ask myself, is that what success really look like? And I still felt that there's still that limited self-accomplishment in my life. The reason that I'm talking about having a little one, the little one has reminded me of what success means. And there's one part around balancing my life, around my health, around my spirituality, around business, around friends, around family. And I'm speaking of this because all of us go through that in terms of how you balance to get to the next level. And we don't always talk about that. And you will get measured on how you balance all those elements, by the way. So for me, success comes with being able to have tangible results. It's about sustainability. It's about finding my purpose, which I have. It's about being able to drive my values. It's about being able to point in the next years that there is another leader that I have developed. It's about being able to say that out of the 500 women that we've mentored and coached in the transport sector, I see their success and they are sustainable. They are not just tenderpreneurs, but they are entrepreneurs. They are businesses that are sustainable. It's about seeing the next woman out there doing much better than me. Having walked through my steps also beyond me, then for me, that's success. Because I need to be able to look back and say, what impact have I made in the world? Whose life have I touched? Even if I die tomorrow, there should be something that remains and say that she has done this. If you speak of label,
Yeah.
And you say this is what Lewe has done in transport, in mobility, in logistics, in our industry. So measuring that for me, going to what you are asking, for me, the tangible results comes with seeing the next person being successful. It comes with me being able to balance my life as well. So you ask, is it tangible? Is it something that is just here on the air and we have to grasp it? No. The reality is that we have to get to a point where when you say you are successful, you are able to measure all these elements of your life, from your health, your spirituality, your business,
Yeah.
but having that level of contentment in your
Amazing.
life. Thank you.
Amazing. We have 5 minutes left. And I want you all to jump in here. Maybe some of you say something that the other one says or hasn't said. What is still, okay, I'll start with you because you're in the middle and we'll branch out this way. What is still left to be done? Where are the gaps that we still need to fill? And where are those moments, and we can all think about this answer, where we can still grow and help each other succeed in our different industries?
Okay. I think my short answer is cohesion. I honestly think across the board, across sector, across industry, in our country, even if we were to look at what is missing in terms of the success of our country, it is the will for everyone to succeed. But everyone has a different and separate agenda. And so there's a lack of cohesion. Until there is some element of cohesion, we will never be on the same path. So yes, whilst we are in this space, we do what we can to mobilize and to get people on our side, so to speak, or to lobby for the interests that we have and see what other interests people have which align with what we want. And along the way, we learn and we create those partnerships, but it's cohesion and it's about discussions that we have, because people are duplicating millions of pieces of work. That is resources that are wasted, whether it be human capital, whether it be financial and economic resources, whether it be information. It is a lack of cohesion. Everybody wants to be the hero, the first, the only. And there is a lack of sharing of resources in order to get us there quicker and more efficiently. And therefore, we lack efficiencies, and all of us will do 10 million things and spend $10 million doing the same thing and not even get to the end of the road. Whereas if we partnered, we discussed, and we agreed that we are trying to get to this point, you will all get your piece of the shine if we move together in this path. There are solutions. All the problems have solutions. I mean, we're living in 2025. If we talk about technology, there are hardly any problems that do not have existing solutions. There's almost nothing new under the sun. But because of this lack of cohesion, we're spinning around. Yeah.
Indeed, I agree. Cohesion is very important because there's a duplication of resources. But I want to bring that one part around. So if there is cohesion, what happens? I think the onus is on you. And when I speak of the onus is on you, I've spoken in one of the conferences a week ago, and I asked the question, how many conferences, how many enterprise development programs, how many coaching, how many mentorships are we going to have in this country? And there's still no commitment. So for me, commitment and accountability is very important because there's policy, there's framework. We've created these ground rules in our industry that allows you as women to be able to grow. So what does it take from you to get into the next level? Because the resources may be available, as already been said, but if you don't commit and you're not taking accountability for on your own growth and your own development, unfortunately, it's going to go to waste. All those resources, we're going to have the next conversation again in the next year. And that next conversation will be a repetition for the past few years as well. If you think around all these themes that we had around Women's Month, Women's Day. It's about inclusivity, it's around parity, it's around how we build economies, it's about how we get women into the next level. And I'm saying this because of my frustration as also a coach and a mentor, in that there's available people that are out there to mentor and to coach you. But there's still women that feels that you have to go and knock the door and say, how do I help you? I love really F&B. F&B says, how do we help you? Now, I'm not saying it because we are here, but the reality is that the reality is that the resources are there. It takes accountability and commitment from yourself to be able to grow, because from yourself, there's partnership, there's cohesiveness that is needed, there's resources that are available. But the next step is say commit and be accountable. Thank you.
I'll piggyback onto that. I think really, really important is to be conscious to empower the women in your organizations. Be conscious to go to them. They very seldom would they come to you. You know, there's very few women who actually step out and say, I would like to be mentored. Go and find those individuals, look for the little golden nuggets, and go and support them. And I think really try and understand where it is they come from. I'll use a very quick, because I saw the sign, I'll use a very quick analogy. We invited a whole lot of our youngsters to come to movies a little while ago. And half of them said, no, sorry, we can't go. We're not going to go. And we're like, no, well, you know, we're all going as a group, you know, just come. But they didn't have transport. You know, they couldn't get home again. They couldn't, and those that had arranged it wouldn't think further than that. And it really, really makes us conscious. So while we think it's easy for our youngsters and our graduates and things in our organizations to come to us and ask for support, it's not that easy. So I think it's for us to step out and go to them, go and find them and go and support them. And my last one is in our CSR projects. There's lots and lots of women in this country that have got no support. So in our CSR projects, and I encourage us to look for opportunities where we can support lots of our ladies in the communities. Thank you.
Sam, you're not going to shout at me. I'm going to let these wonderful women speak. Everyone's hanging onto their lips at the moment.
Okay, I'll be quick. To piggyback off what Joe just said about the people. There's a saying, I've been sitting here as Joe is speaking, I'm trying to find the English translation of this and I just can't. But it's motuke motukabatu, right? You are who you are because of the people that are around you and the people that have walked the journey with you. So I think it's important for us to never forget the people who have helped us. Yes, it's my hard work that got me to where I am, but it's those people who were speaking about me in the boardrooms when I wasn't there that also pushed me in a certain direction. You know, it's my family. I think Linda touched on how family impacts her life as well. It's the relationships that we build in the office. You know, yes, people always have the belief that, no, I don't want friends in the office because ill, you know, but it's important to build those kind of relationships even in the workspace, you know, because, and when you get to where you feel, okay, now I've reached sort of, I'm almost at my ceiling, don't forget the ones that you left down there and bring them up with you, you know, go back, remember them. I mean, sometimes we get so much in our heads that we focus on ourselves and our own growth, you know, and you get there, but let there always be that thing that is in you that reminds you, and remember to just go and fetch those ones that are there and bring them up as well.
Thanks, Layla. So my contribution actually ties in with all what the other ladies have said. And it's a responsibility I want to charge each and every single one of us in here, that we need to be intentional about what mark do we leave in another lady that makes them get up and say, I am somebody and I can be something. I'm a product of somebody that saw me as I was an intern, then I was a team assistant. I'd make tea. I was so tiny that the trolley would pull me instead of me pushing it. But somebody looked at me and they saw the potential in me. It's not because I was brilliant. And it was because of that actually made me actually go study further, actually apply even more, want to know more so that I can be better. I say that because the past 4 years I've been intentional, and this is how I measure my success. Whenever I'm in an organization, if one person can, after having my being there, say, I believe in myself, I can go study, I can do something better about my life, that for me is success. It's not about the accolades, it's not about the title. And I'll share this just to close my contribution. There was a lady when I moved to KZN, her name was Fezile, she was an intern. The lady would stutter so bad that she would even struggle saying her name in a virtual meeting. That used to really pain me. And I remember I spoke to her and I said, but Fez, what's wrong? Tried to speak to a couple of people to see if we can put her on a management program. And we did. She was an intern. We put her on a management program. In the entire South Africa, she came first, cum laude with an average of 98%.
Oh.
And for me, that made me realize that all she needed was somebody to see her, to believe in her. And right now, wherever she is flourishing because we keep in touch. So I think that's a responsibility. Wherever you are, as a lady, how do you treat the next lady next to you? Even if it's a gentleman, don't carry, I say the doctor title is a stage name. Don't walk around being a Dr. Paulina. Be a Paulina so that you can actually come to the level of everyone from here to an executive, because that's what the world needs. They don't need our titles and our fancy position. If we are going to see this industry move forward, it's us being real and me caring about uplifting the next person, genuinely so. So that's my contribution.
I think, ladies, I'm going to say on behalf of everyone here, thank you so very much for your words of wisdom, your input, and Melanie for fueling our fire. I have to every time. It's really wonderful to be able to sit in a room and sit in a space where we want to see each other succeed, and we want to give those nuggets of information to help each other succeed. Please stay here. I'm just going to address the rest of the room. We are going to take a 15-minute break. Pee-pee break, snack break, water break. Do what you need to do, stretch your legs, and then we'll come back and we're going to have our fireside chat. Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening to me. See you in 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Anyone for water?
You know when you touched me, I remember in the virtual
You want water?
meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. In the virtual meeting,
Yes.
you know, whenever people are saying, when are you going to have
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello. There we go. Ladies, I know there are still a few ladies outside. If we can all please start making our way in. I love hanging out with you. I love seeing your faces. So if we could please just get everyone back into their seats. Gosh, so I'm seeing a couple women start making their way in, which is fantastic. Yeah, we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, did everyone have a good break? How was the break? Fantastic. I missed you guys. Thanks for coming back. It's always so much fun. So I was looking, I had a look around the room, and then I counted how many more free things I have to go away. It does go to your head, eh? Having all this power. I've spotted, ooh. Ah, not my friend that I spot. Hey, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to the back here. Here we go. Here I go again. I saw you were very sad earlier when I didn't give you a voucher. Christmas comes early. You see, this lady was smart because she's the only one that tugged me as I walked through. We spoke about being awareness, and taking your opportunities. Sometimes you just need to tug someone. The next part of our day, we'll head into our next segment, is one that it's a new segment. It's called the Fireside Chat. And we have two wonderful women who will be joining me for the Fireside Chat. I'm going to ask them both to come onto stage, Tamsin Gerrits as well as Marlies Havenga. Marlies was very excited when I spoke Afrikaans to her this morning. So can we give her a round of applause, please, for both of these lovely women? Please come and sit this way. This was obviously arranged. So the fireside chat, just to give context,
It's probably one, oh, here we go. It's one of, maybe it's Dan. I heard someone say just Dan. I was told that the virtual audience can't hear me if I'm not speaking on the mic. Want to check the cables? One, two, one. Get this mic.
One, two, there we go. Technology, 2025? 2025 technology. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. The fireside chat is one of nothing yet. I was a drama student, so I know nothing? No? I just want the virtual audience to be able to hear us. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So the fireside chat is about being able to probably get in touch with our more emotional side. And I'm going to ask the guys at the back to please play Marlies's video before I get into the introductions. Should we do it one more time, just for those who were looking down who weren't ready? We can just hit play one more time. When we thank women for being here, Marlies, we really do mean it.
Thank you.
Your name, and just tell us your story. I'm going to get both of you to tell us your story, but I just want you to come out of that, tell your story, and then I'll get to Tamsin.
So I heard so many suggestions and comments about arriving, right? It's not just arriving, it's how you drive to get there. So I'm a EHS safety leader for a very large agricultural company, global company. So safety is what I am, right? You say, who am I? I have a contract with myself that says I'm freaking amazing. That's who I am. But I'm also a safety leader. That was me rolling 11 times for a stretch of 87 meters. After a third party decided that he won't be stopping, he'll just cross the road, didn't see me at all, and he just knocked me off of my brand new wheels. And I came to a halt, and I remember clearly sitting in that vehicle, knowing this was going to happen, right? I was prepared. I knew there was nothing I could do to change what's going to happen right now. I can only hang on. I can start praying. And I just had this booma in me that knew this wasn't it. This wasn't over. This is not the end. Don't be scared. Don't be panicking. This is not your end. I have a 5-year-old son, and I remember rolling and thinking, my boy's too small for me not to have his mother go home today. So whatever the plan was, it didn't work. I got out of that vehicle with only a broken leg. My left fibula was broken. Yep. And I recall, this incident so clearly. And the first time I spoke about it, I got really emotional. I remember seeing that video for the first time in hospital while I was lying on a stretcher with my neck. I was lying there and I wasn't allowed to move. They were cutting the clothes off of me. They were afraid that I had neck damage or a back that was injured. The doctors couldn't believe while they were doing the sonars that there was nothing that exploded in my body. They were like, how did you manage this? And I looked at the video in the hospital and I thought, is that really what happened? Because I was conscious all the time. It felt like hours, right, when you're rolling and rolling, and it feels like the vehicle is never going to stop. And it eventually came to a stop, but after me asking my higher power to please put me back on my wheels. I did not want to be stranded and left on my roof where I'm trapped. I've got the severe threat and a severe thing about me about being trapped. Even a heavy blanket makes me feel like I'm just going to die. And it was such an amazing thing to also see that when you actually activate things that are there for a reason, right? And as a safety leader, it's something I'm really trying to emphasize and say, if you have a phone and it has the ability to identify your emergency contacts, do it. Activate them. While I was rolling, my cell phone actually started sending my GPS location to my emergency contacts, telling them that I was in a severe incident. And I remember the first thing my daughter said when she got the notification was, please don't let her be trapped. You know, anything can happen to her, but she mustn't be trapped. And yeah, so that's kind of a horrific moment, especially if you're a leader, right? Because you think you're all this. I've always been human. And I think that made me realize even more. You know, we've had MasterDrive training, great training. We deliver annually to our employees. I go through all of that same training. I educate people on a daily basis. Be aware, be vigilant, take care when you're driving. But we cannot always manage other people, right? And it's also something that I live by. There's a global phenomenon that says, let them. But there's a second part to the let them theory that people forget, and it's let me. Let me decide how I'm going to manage this situation. Let me decide how this will impact the rest of my life. Am I going to be sorry that I was in this massive incident and walk with my head bent down because I'm a leader? I've been educating everybody. Take care. And I just decided, no, this just shows we're all human. This can happen to anybody. And yeah, tremendous, tremendous event. Was my first accident ever. I've never been in an accident. So it was really horrific, you know, and I just recall the rolling and just praying. I just kept on praying. I said, this is not the time. I need to see some more people. I need to touch more lives because that's what I want to do. I don't want to influence people by being a title on a piece of paper. Yes, I've got an MBA, fantastic. I worked my butt off to get it, but it doesn't make me who I am. I want to be able to touch the lives of people I meet. And I always believe that you have a few seconds in your first interaction with people, you have the capacity to change someone's opinion, not just about you, but about themselves. So I just knew in that moment, I'm not done. So here I am.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to stand. Is the issue that I'm sitting down? Is that my issue? Here we go. Okay, there we go. Wait. There we go. I would forget, but I know the virtual audience can't hear me, and we want them to be involved too. Guys, I'm the problem. I've accepted it. I'm the problem. There we go. Okay. I'm going to sit back down. Marlies, dankie. Guys, my twin here next door to me has a beautiful story herself. Tamsin, can you just introduce yourself to everyone and just tell everyone why you're here with us today?
So I was listening, and we're actually also the same age. We matriculated.
Shout out to us.
Yeah, sure. So I actually hate this question. I find it one of the most difficult to answer when somebody tells you or asks you, describe yourself or describe your story. But just to give you some background on myself, so I am an entrepreneur. I'm self-employed. I'm actually unemployed as well. And
Somebody has a job for her.
You're in the right space.
yeah. And I'm 28 years old, and I'm a mom of a 2-year-old boy. He turned 2 last week, Sunday. And yeah, I've got a team of 8 women that I'm responsible for. We're actually all young moms under the age of 30. So it's part creche, part office space at this point. And in April, my stomach started swelling up, and there it is. And I knew that I wasn't pregnant, and I did the pregnancy tests, and I just thought it was really weird. Maybe I'm just gaining some weight because, you know, after having a baby, there's a whole lot of strange things that happen to your body. So I just accepted it. And it started to feel increasingly not normal and odd. And I kept asking the people around me, do you think I should go to the doctor? Do you think I should make an appointment with the gynae and go check what's going on? And I kept asking for that validation from the people around me. And then one morning I woke up and I was lying flat on my back, and I just saw this massive like lump in my stomach, and I could like move it around, so I knew it was not bloating. And it was actually Easter weekend, so I tried to get a gynae appointment because I was very freaked out, couldn't get one. The next day I found a gynae, but it had grown by 40% overnight. And obviously, as we do, we chat GPT'd our health symptoms, and it was like cancer. And I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't freak out too much. Let me just put the phone down and go. And it turned out to be a ovarian cyst, 18 centimeters in diameter, probably that size. They actually had to do a C-section. They opened up my C-section to get it out of my body. And we sent it in for autopsy. Autopsy came back as malignant. And obviously that was a very riveting experience. Nobody in my family has cancer. I actually did not know anybody who had cancer at that point in my life. So it was never a thought of mine. And because of my age, also just was never worried about it. And then I had to do chemotherapy for April to August. So it was a very long journey that I actually finished 2 weeks ago. So and yeah, I guess that's where I'm at now. I'm kind of picking up the pieces of my life again, returning to work. But it was a life-changing journey that I went through. I would not wish chemotherapy on my worst enemy. It was really difficult, but yeah, a lot of positive things to come out of that experience. And because I've been sharing my journey on social media, I have built somewhat of a platform for other young women that are going through something similar at the moment.
I wanted to touch on that. The big C, I think, is something we're all terrified of. My whole mom's side of the family. I think I'm like you. I'm trying to avoid. I'm gonna go to the doctor, I swear. But you spoke about your public and being public about your journey. What triggered deciding to become public about your journey, and why do you continue to be so public about your journey? Because, by the way, top 5 Miss South Africa, guys. I mean, we can all see why. But why was it so important for you to use your platform in that way?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Miss South Africa, I did that in 2022. And from that, a lot of young women started following me. So I built somewhat of a personal brand off the brand of my Miss South Africa journey. And I just said to myself, like, if I'm going to go through this horrible experience, like, I'm going to make the absolute most out of it and make it as meaningful as possible, not just for myself, but also for the young women who are watching me. So for those who maybe don't have cancer, but are following me as a person, I wanted to model to them, like, how does somebody walk through something like this with authenticity, with honesty, vulnerability, and just like the grit that you need to get through something like this. And then because I started sharing it, a lot of young women who were also diagnosed with cancer or were about to start their chemotherapy journey or were further than me along in that journey reached out to me. And I have social anxiety, so I was just bombarded with messages and DMs, and I'm like at this point, I think I have 600 unanswered WhatsApp messages. And yeah, and then I was like, let me just start a WhatsApp group and connect all of these young women together. And one thing that was very validating for me, because of course I did get a lot of criticism, actually mostly from my family, that just felt like this is such a personal journey. Why are you broadcasting it? You have no business sharing such personal information on social media. But the validation came in for me when there were 3 young women that reached out to me that said that because they followed my stories and my whole journey in diagnosing this thing and going through chemo, it inspired them to go have themselves checked. And following that, all 3 of them were diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer and ovarian cancer like myself. But the positive in this is that they detected it so early that their chances of survival and overcoming it is phenomenal. So yeah, that's basically why I decided to keep sharing everything so publicly. So it's brought, I think we're like just over 150, no, yes, 150 young women who've been diagnosed with cancer on this WhatsApp group. And it's just such a beautiful, positive space. It's like ultimate hype girls, your ultimate hype girls on that WhatsApp group chat. And just to see how everybody is supporting one another, visiting one another in the hospital with flowers and motivating each other, validating one another in this experience, so that we don't feel so isolated has been, yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. And that's why I decided to be so public about my personal experience.
Marlies, we've got 5 minutes left, but I want to ask you, those difficult days, you want to be the light in so many people's lives, but even the light sometimes runs out of batteries. How do you pick yourself and motivate yourself to want to continue to be that light? And what do you do to be practical about looking after yourself while looking for others on those difficult days?
Thanks. That's such a good question. And being positive and always being the positive one in a room, people expect you to act that way, right? You always have to be okay. And I was just telling a colleague of mine that I just met, not just virtually, but face to face, that I do get those days. And even after my incident, I had 8 weeks where I wasn't able to drive. I wasn't able to go to people. And that's where I feed from. And I remember sitting at home and thinking, I can't do this. You know, why did this happen to me? I need to be out there. I need to be speaking to people. I need to be okay. And I have this thing that I live by where I say accountability comes straight back to you, right? You've got to be accountable for yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. And I have this thing that I always say where it's 3 sections. It says, I see it, I own it, and I fix it. I had to do that introspection to realize I'm depressed. I'm suffering now because this is not who I am. I can't be sitting at home wondering what I can do next because I'm always busy. And I had to fix it. And I was the only person that could fix it, right? And I know that we have days. We're all women. We all struggle. We have 10 hats that we have to wear. But you sometimes need to put those hats down and take that moment to realize I'm in this space now. I am in a dark space, but I can't stay here. And that's my motto in life. If you stay below the line for too long, you will stay there forever. So you can be below the line, but you got to move up, and you got to move up as soon as you can. Because if you're there too long, that's where you're going to stay. So if you want to get back above the line, you get yourself back there. Thank you.
Yeah, please go.
I want to add to what Marlies said. You know, we have, like, as women, I think we have such a beautiful traits, most of us, but it's also such a toxic trait. It's this thing where we put ourselves below everything else. Like, we are literally last on our to-do list for the day. It's below our family, our friends, our colleagues, our work, even our pets sometimes. And the reality is that all of those people rely on you. So you need to prioritize your health and wellness, whether that's a physical illness, like getting diagnosed, and taking time off of work and time off of all the other responsibilities to make sure that you are strong enough to carry on for all of those things and all of the people that need you. Or it might be mental health, like taking the time to really sit with yourself, be honest about where you're at in your life, and go seek out guidance and like the right professional help, because all of those people rely on you. And yeah, there's none of what you're doing without you being in a good, positive space.
Well, I mean, I think there's probably no better way to end this conversation. We could have these conversations for hours, and I think we'll have that networking session later on. Please, these 2 ladies are incredible women who want to tell their stories, who want to share their journeys. So please talk to them, listen to how inspiring they are. It's incredible to see what you guys have come through and what you guys are going through and where you guys are. So thank you so much for joining us on the stage. We can give them both a resounding round of applause, please. I think we're going to move these chairs and couches, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll bring the easel back onto the stage. I only work with men. Love them. They're my best friends. But what I've learned to do and what I've understood I need to do is breathe a lot of the times. I have a dog at home. I also realize I have to breathe with him sometimes. And there are specialists, there are women in this world who teach us how to be able to breathe properly. So I'm just going to wait for the final little bits to go down. I'd like to call onto the stage Nikki Severini, who is a certified breathwork and well-being practitioner who specializes in breathwork and self-inquiry. So when your husband, your partner, someone is working on your nerves a little extra on that day, Nikki's going to tell us exactly how to make and get through it. Okay, Nikki, please, if you can please come and join me.
Will you tell me when I've got 10 minutes and then 5 minutes?
Sam keeps us on track. Sam's got us right there.
10 minutes and 5 minutes. Thank you. Thanks, Layla. Hi, everybody. Wow. Should we take a deep breath? Should we? There's been so much. Let's inhale. Hold it there for just a moment. And you have permission to sigh. Ah, how's that? Need another one? I do. Should we inhale? All the way to the top, pausing, and you have permission to. Ah, how does that feel? You know, sitting at the back and listening to these amazing speakers has been so inspiring. One thing that gets in the way, though, is while I'm sitting there, I'm wondering to myself, how am I going to remember all of this? Do any of you agree with me? I mean, it's brilliant. Nugget here, nugget there. There's a nugget. There's another one. Need to rewatch, need to write it down. And so it makes me think about, well, it wasn't Thomas Jefferson who came up with this quote, but he certainly was a great advocate for bringing education to all people, saying that knowledge is power, and that knowledge is happiness, and knowledge is safety. I would also add knowledge, just listening to our amazing speakers. Knowledge is freedom and the ability to help other people. But there's an issue around all of that knowledge. You see, we live in a time where we all have access to so much knowledge. We just switch on our devices, social media, podcasts. Don't you love all these podcasts? Listen to all of these experts. Then you go onto Instagram and there are these little bits, also more nuggets of information. And so we live in an age of information where knowledge is there. But unfortunately, knowledge is not always used as power because it stays in the head. And you know, in my business, I have clients who come to me and they suffer with burnout and depression and anxiety or stress. And yet they know everything. They know about the somatic healing, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do gratitude, and if I breathe like this, and if I do that, and yet they're sitting in front of me. And the issue is that the knowledge is not penetrating and integrating into the body and into the nervous system where it needs to lie and be and feel and move and rewire a system. So while we're all sitting here and we are really immersed in the magnificence of experience and all of these nuggets, what do we do with it when we walk out the door? That's the rub. What do we do with that? Do we just keep it as an idea and it's there, that's what we want? Or how do we embody something like this? So going all the way to the breath work, the breath is the way we embody it. The breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. And I love that more and more people are waking up to this potent medicine that is our breath. So just sticking with the body experience. I want to take you back to the 6th of May, 1954. And perhaps some of you know the story of a young man. It was a cold day in Oxford in the UK, wet, windy, and a young medical student took to the field. And he did something pretty extraordinary on that day. He did something that no one was able to do. They had been trying since 1886. And what was that? Break through a barrier, running a mile in under 4 minutes. No one had done it. You had athletes all over the world. They were so trained. They were motivated. They had everything, but they couldn't cross over the line in under 4 minutes. And so Roger Bannister on that day did just that, amazingly. Just a few seconds, and that was it. But that's not what's interesting in this story. I mean, there are lots of things that go to it, saying, you know, experts had said that the weather's got to be this, the track's got to be this, the supporters have to be that. And on that day, it was nothing like that. The weather was contrary to what they said, the amount of people watching, all of that. But he did it. But what was extraordinary about that is that a month later, that record was broken. And a year later, 3 other runners broke that record. So just think about it. 1886, people were trying. These athletes, motivated, skilled, fit, strong, had all the coaching. No one could break the barrier. Roger Bannister does it, and then all of a sudden, you have athletes who are able to do it. And I'm sure many of you have heard the story, and it speaks to a mindset, a belief system. But the angle that I'd like to introduce you to in terms of this is looking at motivation and looking at a belief system and really introducing you to the idea that the belief system is held in the body. What does that mean? How could a belief system be held in the body? And you see, we all have very unique belief systems. We all have very unique neural wiring. We have a very unique neural architecture that creates who we are, how we show up, how we see the world, how we interact with the world. It's based on ancestry. It's based on our in utero experience. It's based on our experience when we were born, our early developmental stages. We have this unique neural wiring, but the neural wiring is not just here in the brain. The neural wiring is in the body. We've got this vagus nerve. We've got this amazing system. That's why so many people are talking about somatic healing going into the body. So when Roger Bannister crossed that line, and all of a sudden athletes could see that it could be done, it went from it's not possible to it is possible, but something far deeper took place within them. The real realization, the real feeling that it was possible, which is why it was then possible moving forward. Now, that's not to say that anyone could do it, because you have to be motivated. You have to be skilled. You have to be trained. You've got to have all of that. And then there's a shift in your belief system. So what I would like to outline today and share with you is the importance of your beliefs, but more importantly, your nervous system, and how our brains are wired in such a way that if we shift a few things, we can rewire the brain. And again, we think that's all happening up here. But I'm here to tell you that we're going to go to feeling and experience. So neuroplasticity. Anyone heard of neuroplasticity? Okay, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself. So up until not too long ago, people thought that we were, the development happened from birth, and then just past adolescence, that was it. That's the brain, nothing else we could do. It's wired, it's hardwired. And then more research, more investigation, they got to see that that's not true. that the brain can continually rewire. It's malleable. So they like to use the word, it's plastic. And what does that mean? Remember I said we have our beliefs. Our beliefs create these thoughts, which bring about these feelings, which then bring about actions. And that's how we have habits, and our beliefs are guiding it all the way. And it's a wiring. And so neuroplasticity tells us, hang on, you can rewire those habits, kind of like what happened with the banister. There was just poof, the realization. And all of a sudden, there was this rewiring that took place. So when it comes to changing, we go to neuroplasticity. We go to rewiring the brain. And doesn't it feel amazing knowing that if there's something you really want, you can make it happen? You've just heard from these incredible people. And as I said, we don't want to just walk away and then it just disappears. How do we do it? How do we implement it? And so the first thing is self-awareness. Like, what do I want? What do I want to work on? How do I want to show up? What new habits do I want to introduce? What doesn't suit me? What do I want to get rid of? And so with that self-awareness and starting to know what it is I do and don't want, then you can start to move forward. So if we have to look at habits, for example. So B.J. Fogg wrote the most incredible book called Tiny Habits. And the question goes to, how motivated are you? Have you noticed how some days your motivation is high, right? That's when you tell yourself you're going on diet, you're going to gym, you introduce all these amazing things. And then the next day, the motivation level is right down there and you think, what was I thinking? It's like the New Year's resolution. How are those New Year's resolutions? 98, so sorry to say this, 98% of those New Year's resolutions just dissolve. Why? Because we're so motivated when we write them, but motivation comes and motivation goes. So B.J. Fogg says this: if you want to change something and you want to rewire, some of the experts have said, just repetition, repetition, repetition. What you practice grows, which is true. And neurons that wire together, fire together, or neurons that fire together, wire together. In other words, when you do something and you repeat it over and over again, those neurons, the connection, so what starts off as an overgrown path, all of a sudden you start repeating it and the grass starts to separate a little bit and you keep repeating that habit or whatever it is you want to do and the grass separates a little bit more and you keep doing it, then there's paving and now you've got this amazing path. You have rewired your brain. You've introduced a new habit or a new way of doing something if you repeat it over and over again. The old way of doing it, it happened, it stays there, that path is still there, just becomes overgrown. This is the new path. However, very often you need the motivation to keep you going and going and going. And we know that motivation is up and motivation is down. So what does B.J. Fogg say? Break it up into tiny little steps. Steps so little that you don't need motivation to do those things at all. You simply can do them. And another important thing that he added, and this is where the somatic body comes into it, is emotion rewires the brain. Now that's something that people hadn't considered before. It was what you practice grows. Now people are saying emotion rewires the brain, because as soon as you have a positive emotion attached to something that you've done, the brain floods the system with dopamine. And the dopamine doesn't just feel good, but it's a reward for the brain, so the brain wants more of it. It's quite simple, really. And so if you break up what you want to do into tiny little steps, and then you celebrate within your body, you've got a good chance getting there. But now you've got to remember to do it. So we talk about habit stacking. So let's say, for example, you want to introduce something new in your life. And you know that every single morning you wake up and you have a cup of coffee. Now you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to stack whatever it is I want to introduce, whether it is reading an article in the morning, whether it is introducing exercise, whether it's introducing a breathwork exercise, whether it's a gratitude journal, whatever it is, I want to start introducing into my life. I'm going to do it straight after I've had my cup of coffee because I know I have a cup of coffee every day. But I'm going to break it down into a tiny, tiny step, and I'm only going to do it for 1 minute, just 1 minute. So after my coffee, I'm not going, oh, do I really, really feel like doing this? Do I even have time for it? 1 minute, it's easy. I don't need the motivation to do it. So I know I have my cup of coffee. I know what I've stacked onto that cup of coffee, and for 1 minute, I do it. It's easy, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And when I've done it for that 1 minute, what do, ladies? I celebrate. I celebrate. Yes. And the celebration isn't up here. The celebration is in the body. You feel that celebration. You even look at yourself in the mirror. Yes, you smile. You give yourself the victories. Whatever that celebration is, you get that dopamine moving through the brain. And then that's it. Exactly, I've got the celebration back there. You celebrate. And then the next day, you do exactly the same thing. You have your cup of coffee, 1 minute of doing whatever it is you're doing, and you celebrate. And within a short period of time, you're starting to rewire your brain, which affects how you show up, who you are, your belief system. So while we are a product of how we grew up, while the people around us have impacted us, we're not victims to the circumstance. We get to rewire, we get to change, we get to show up in a different way, not up here, where that's what we want to project to people and we write it down and it's on the website or it's on LinkedIn. It's a somatic thing that you feel all the way in the body, in the nervous system. So being able to feel is not easy because many of us, as I said, stay there and we're drawn to pleasure. We are averse to pain or discomfort. And the only time we check into our bodies is when we are. When do you notice your body? Yeah, if you're not feeling well. Sometimes if you're tired, most of us don't even listen to the body when the body says tired. When we're thirsty, hungry, not even. How often are we listening to the body? And we think that the brain's message to the body is that's the most important message. It's not. Most important message are the messages from the body to the brain. 80% of those messages are coming from body to brain. But it's being able to listen to the message. Hence, feel the celebration in the body when you've done your 1 minute. Hence, the runners who watched Bannister cross that line in under 4 minutes, and they felt it in their body. And that's when it moved from impossible to possible. So let's experiment for a moment. Let's again all inhale, because breath work is that bridge. Let's inhale. The invitation is to inhale through the nose. And I invite you, as you inhale, to imagine you are drawing your breath to the top of your head. Can we do that for a moment? Fabulous. Put both feet on the ground. Relax your arms. And let's inhale through the nose. And when I say inhale, it's not rising. It's not the shoulders lifting and high up in the chest. Relax your shoulders. And let's inhale through the nose all the way in. Beautiful. And now the exhale sigh, you're going to stop at your heart. So it's just going to be a ah. Can we do that again? Inhaling all the way to the top and exhaling down to the heart. Ah, I want to see open mouths. I'm giving you all permission to open your mouth. I know some people think it's bad manners. but I'm giving you permission. Sometimes when I do this, people get so uncomfortable. Can I show you what makes people really uncomfortable? Maybe not this audience, but I'll try. Ah. God forbid we do that in public. Should we? Come on, I dare you. Let's go. Ah. I think you can do better. Should we send the sigh all the way down to the pelvis? Let's go. Breathe in. All the way to the top. Hover. Let the breath hover there. The breath is hovering. And you'll notice that the breath turns and then it drops with a ah. How are you feeling? I don't want to know how you're feeling. Let's avoid the pelvic area and let's go from the head all the way down to the toes. Should we do that? Let's go one more. Breathe in. All the way to the top, 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 top. And now you're going to let it all go. Every bit of stress that you're holding on to, you are surrendering and releasing all the way down to the toes. Let's go. Ah. A centering sigh. If you can introduce a centering sigh where you drop from thought into body, it's the first step of connecting the bridge between the mind and the body. One more thing I'm leaving you with, a beautiful humming bee breath. Just sense into how you're feeling right now. Let's do a little bit of humming. Again, I know it's a bit weird, but you can do it. I know you can. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your thumbs and you're going to block your ears. And then before you do it, you're going to take your hands and you're going to place them gently over your eyes. You are not going to smudge your makeup. No, no, no. You're just going to place them gently over your eyes. You're going to inhale through the nose and you're going to exhale with a Sorry, I know. We don't want to be heard in that way either. Could be uncomfortable, could be terrible. Try it out. Okay, placing the thumbs, hands over the eyes. Let's inhale and exhale with a hum. Do it again. Inhale and humming. Keep going. As you've released that exhale, inhale and hum. Soften the neck, soften the shoulders, feeling the vibration on the tips of the lips. Inhaling and humming. And again, breathe in and humming. Feel the vibration around the nose, the back of the throat, the top of the chest. Enjoy that feeling. Enjoy the vibration. Again, breathing in and humming. Right, lowering the hands. Now drop into your bodies. What does that mean? Don't think, feel. Drop into your bodies. Can you feel a slight expansion in the chest? Can you feel a slight vibration? So on a physiological level, you've all switched off your stress response and you have all switched on your parasympathetic, your relaxation response. How? You didn't think it. I'm going to chill. I'm going to relax. That slow exhale stimulated the vagus nerve, and guess what? Relaxation response switched on, just like that. That beautiful humming produce this nitric oxide in your nose. What does the nitric oxide do? First of all, it cleans the air, it sterilizes the air, but it's a vasodilator. It means that more oxygen is moving through your system. There's more oxygenation happening in your body. So the person you were just before and the person now, chemically, you're a different person. The more you do it, the better you feel. This is what you call a felt experience. So when you get to change a habit or a way of doing things and you break it down to something simple and you take an existing thing that you do every day and you stack it on and you do that thing for a minute and now it's that time to celebrate, you're not celebrating here. You're celebrating there. So just for a moment, closing your eyes, now that you've relaxed your system, and bringing into your mind's eye as you breathe in consciously and breathe out, a time when you did something that you were so incredibly proud of yourself. Now, you could be taking yourself back to school. You could be taking yourself back to something that you did yesterday. But really try and bring that image so clear into your mind's eye, you achieving that. And do you recall how that felt? And now you're not recalling from the mind. Let's go to equal breathing in and out. So you're breathing in through the nose for 4. And you're breathing out through the nose for 4. And every time you breathe in, the invitation is to feel the sensation and the emotion in your heart center. See if that's possible. Go back to that moment when you achieved something and you did something, you felt really, really good, and breathe it into your body. So you're breathing in through your nose to the count of 4, 2, 3, 4, and you gently exhaling 2, 3, 4. And some of you are thinking about what I'm saying, and thinking is no good. You've got to experience it. You've got to breathe it. You've got to feel the heart expand and then contract with that feeling and emotion. And when you do that, you bring heart coherence, brain coherence, coherence within the organs of your body. And so all of a sudden, what does it become? A felt experience. And so my challenge to each and every one of you today is this. Wow, there have been so many amazing shares. Don't lose them. When you go home and you have time, sit, breathe quietly, inhale for 4 and out for 4, and recall how each and every person made you feel. Because there's the information they shared, and then there's the feeling that that gave you. You want to rewire? You want to change habits? You want to shift beliefs? Go to how you feel. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Thank you very much, everybody.
I can't wait to go home, have my fiance ask me to wash the dishes, and go, It's my biggest dream. I'm so excited. Nikki, thank you so, so much. I think we all relate to being on the diet that we say we put ourselves on, and going to Checkers or Pick n Pay or Woolies and buying the salads and buying the steamed broccoli, and then later that evening when you list for something really nice, it's not in the cupboard, and you hate the person you were 2 hours ago. What an incredible day! What an incredible occasion to be able to celebrate. We're going to go into a 5-minute Q&A. So all of the speakers that we had up here, our panelists, our fireside chat. So I'm going to ask the virtual attendees, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat, and then one of the team will read it out. So any of you sitting here now, please don't be shy. It's going to be really awkward if I'm talking to myself. Have any questions that you guys have thought of, that you know, those burning questions that you wanted them to potentially touch on before they were up here, please do put up your hand, and I will bring, or we'll get a mic to you. Is this mic going to roam? I just want to double check. Is this the roaming mic? Perfect. And so just say who you'd like to ask the question to, and then and ask your question. I will then take the other mic to the speaker, if that's okay. 1 and 2. Perfect. Please stand up, state your name, where you're from, your bank card number, your... I'm joking.
Thank you. The question is for Nikki. I wanted to ask, she mentioned that when the fiance asked her to do dishes, she started breathing. So how long do you breathe? Do you just breathe the whole day, or because I'm going to do it for the whole day sitting on the couch?
I hope you're breathing the whole day. I do hope so. You know, that's such a good question. Just experiencing what you've all experienced, you've moved from being unconscious breathers to conscious breathers. So just becoming a conscious breather is really, really important. So when you are sitting on the couch, you get to check in and think, how am I breathing right now? Am I breathing high up in my chest? Am I breathing through an open mouth? And am I breathing very fast? So that's it. Just become a conscious breather. And then know that healthy breathing is nose, low, and slow. So it's not to say you don't breathe through your mouth. You do. There are times when you absolutely do, and there's certain breathwork exercises, but the rest of the time, nose, low, slow. And the humming, do it in the morning. The humming, do it before you go to bed at night. You'll sleep a whole lot better. The centering size, you'll see. The more you become a conscious breather, I'll walk through a shopping center and sorry, but you know the looks I get. It's a good way to meet people.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Juliet Miabo. I'm from Our Two Heads. I'm from an organization called TEDCOSA. We advocate and facilitate opportunities for SMMEs in the township and rural spaces. And we have a particular sector in the motor space. And we also have a group of about 800 women in different sectors. I'm also part of WeCorner. Yeah, but that's also in the more FMCG space. My question, I'm known for asking the uncomfortable questions. You know, the issue of we're empowered women, we live in a country that policies and everything are encouraging us to participate. Yet we coexist with male counterparts. Most of them would go out of their way, not all of them, you know, we've heard of the few good ones that we know, but there is that culture of people wanting to, whether in the workspace, in the business place, of wanting to negate everything that is good that is happening for women in this country and in different sectors. And I don't know if I should ask that to our good doctor or anyone, to say, how do we navigate that without losing our values? Because we still want to be women, we want to be flowers, we don't want to be rocks, but at times we have to find a way of dealing and navigating that in order for us to get where we need to be as women. Okay.
Doctor, with the title comes responsibility.
Oh my goodness. I don't need to stand, right? Or do I need to stand? Am I that? Okay, I'll stand. Sure. That's a very interesting conversation. Because, and I like speaking from a personal front, right? I don't navigate any path trying to be who I'm not. So with your question saying, yes, there are other people that will try and block you. There's a system, of course, that we're living in. Do I try and toughen up and also try and prove a point? I won't sleep comfortably because that's not me. So I think the most important thing is when we look at the spaces that we're in, the systems that we're challenged with, it's about finding, it's a puzzle
they call it a puzzle strategy and a chess strategy. What is it that you need to be able to get to where you are? It doesn't need you to change your personality, but it needs tact. So I'll give you an example. Most of my friends are SASA members. I call them SASA members. They're very old. One of my best friends is 81. Not that he's on a SASA grant, but I've learned that I want to be in spaces where they were when they were my age, around about the 50s, right? So I try and find out what circles do they sit in, what conversations do they plug into, what value can I add as an individual? And that's how I show up. So when I go to a gathering, for me, my concern is not my outward appearance, it's my content appearance. And that's what has actually helped me navigate different spaces. So I'll give you an example. There was a time, and he still remains my favorite president, not perfect. I was 22 to be particular, and I happened to be in a room with the former president, Thabo Mbeki. So while I'm sitting in that setting, obviously everyone that's there was dressed the part, they looked the part. I was a toddler, worst I wear size 1, so you can imagine I was in sneakers and leggings. The only way for me to get to him was to think, he's an African Renaissance thinker. What conversation would trigger him to want to pay attention to me? Then that's the conversation that I started engaging in. He paused the room and he said, "Can I ask you who pays for your studies?" And I'm like, "I do." He says, "From now on, you don't have to cover your studies. I'll take care of that." Did I need to be somebody else? I didn't need to. I just needed to be me. I aspired for that. I prepped myself for that because I know that in showing up as you and readying and capacitating yourself for that space, trust me, people will notice you. So is it a tough space to be in? Yes. I don't try and challenge men by trying to show them that I can also wear the pants. No, I show them I'm me in my yellow spectacles, but I've got something to of value to add. And if you're able to do that, I think that's the one way that we can actually help navigate these spaces. Of course, it does get tough, but show up, don't compromise your principles and who you are. And I think that's what will take you further. Because if you don't learn that at an early stage, I'm a young lady. You can imagine there was a time when I was doing my MCOM, which I dropped because one supervisor said, "If you want to be supervised, I only supervise at home and on Saturdays." And I thought to myself, that might not end well. That cost me pausing a degree, but I had to align myself with my principles and find another way. There's always another way. I applied for another course. I finished my MBA. I didn't have to go through that. Yes, there will be those blockages, but don't compromise your principles and who you truly are just because you're trying to fit in. Know you, establish you, build the depth and the breadth. Trust me, if you've got depth and breadth, they can't ignore you. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor. I've got a question online for Tamsin. Hi, twin. And then I'm going to do one from the crowd. And then I'm going to ask my bosses if we'll take one more from, I'm trying to find where they're sitting. Okay, cool, perfect. Tam, oh my crisis, I lost the question, hold on. So the question is, has sharing your story and journey ever invoked any negative comment from that? And even at the point where you thought, what is the point in doing so if it's going to invoke this negativity?
Thank you. Working, yes. Okay. I must say that if I compare the positive responses to the negative, like the positive much outweighs the negative feedback that I've gotten, and most of it has been from my family and people that know me personally, which I do understand to an extent because a lot of my family felt like the first time they're learning about certain details of my life was on social media and not me telling them directly. So I do take that into account. But other than that, I can't say that there's been a comment that really got me down or made me reconsider sharing my story as openly and as vulnerably as I have been doing so far.
I'm quite nervous
being amongst so many beautiful women today, yet very, very honored. I'm Krishna from Twiza, and my question is also for Tamsin. So it resonated with me, and it was so beautiful, the fact that you said it's such a beautiful yet toxic trait to put yourself last. And I was sitting in an aeroplane, I won't say what airline, and they've got this tutorial that they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first and then assist others. And that hit me hard one day. And I got that same commentary from one of my mentors at Twiza. And they said that you need to put that oxygen mask on first. But it's so difficult being a mom and a wife and a daughter as well. Like, it's hard. So I wanted to find out from you, you saying that to us, very inspirational. How did you come to that point, and how did you actually, you know, embed it as a little habit, that 1 minute to actually put yourself first and to inspire other women?
So I will say that I definitely, one question I've gotten a lot is like, how do you juggle everything? I did not. I had an incredible support system around me. So I didn't have to keep all the balls in the air. I have an incredible team that stood up without even me having to ask them to do that. I've got an amazing husband that took care of our little one. He did the housework, he did the cooking, the cleaning, and also owns his own business. So I had an amazing support system. And I encourage you guys also to evaluate like what yours looks like and if they'd be there for you in that circumstance. And then, yeah, I just think that, look, I don't think I did put my own oxygen mask on. And I think getting something or being diagnosed with cancer forced me to reevaluate how I look at my life. And I also realized that there's a lot of positive things that can come from stepping back. It's a chance to rest, recalibrate, reconnect with who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world for other people and for yourself. And yeah, I think it's just sometimes life happens and it forces you to start prioritizing yourself.
Thanks, Tam. Ladies, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, stop the conversation there and stop the questions there. Again, there is time to network afterwards. So if you weren't able to ask a question, please do so afterwards. Now comes the fun part. We're heading to our last bits. We have a prize giving. It's going to consist of questions, lucky draws. If you have not put your business, Nashani, if they have not put their business cards in the bowl, you still have a chance. So I want everybody to get up off your seats as quickly as possible, run and tackle there, put your business card in the bowl because we've got incredible prizes. So just we'll take 2 minutes quickly just to get your business card in the bowl, and hopefully I draw your card. I'm sorry if I don't. But there are some incredible prizes for those who are joining us virtually as well. You guys can win prizes too. I will pose questions to you. First person to type an answer into a chat box, you will then be selected for the prize, if I have understood that correctly. Perfect. Do we have all the business cards? Getting there. This was not as chaotic as I wanted it to be. You can't put your business card in twice either. Okay. Oh, that's no problem. Okay, before I was a rugby, no, well, I was a rugby player, I was a rugby coach, now I'm in sports broadcasting. So I was a strength and conditioning coach, so I might ask you to do as many push-ups as possible, and that's how you're going to win a prize. Really depends. Our first one is from Stellantis. It is a hamper, and this is going to be a lucky card draw. Am I going to draw it? Oh, that's so much pressure. Okay, we're going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. WesBank, let me pay off my car. Ooh, a lean canned? A lean. Road Freight Association?
Congratulations. I would like to, in advance, apologize for the names that I might butcher. You guys have stunning handwritings as well, Aline. Right. Our next one is a virtual. Oh, I'm lying to you entirely. It is another lucky card draw. Kathy Heapy, a body stress release voucher. I heard so many oohs, I understand. It's a wellness center in Midrand. So just about the body stress release, it's a unique complementary health technique that uses light pressure to release trapped tension in the body. Please. This gentle, non-invasive treatment helps restore your body's natural balance and reduces stress-related discomfort. The winner, Layla Arrison. Joanne, can you please come and draw 2 cards, please? You have not one. Here we go. First one is Anati Piper, Kanya AI. Hey! And then the next one is Nomaswazi Low from DMI. Hey! I feel like Mother Christmas. Okay, perfect. So Nikki, actually, this is going to be a virtual one, Nikki. So for the virtual guys, the first person to type me will win the prize. This is in Johannesburg. This is for if you're based in Johannesburg and you type me, or if you don't mind paying a flight to get to Johannesburg, you can do it. Nikki has given us one transformative breathwork session valued at 750 Rand. So the first person who will be able to travel to Nikki's practice in Johannesburg virtually, who is it? I need to pick a winner. Everyone's coming, Nikki. Here we go. Who said me for? Ooh. Okay, we got to scroll up. The first me that came through is Lebo Mahwa. Will you please make the note of that name? Congratulations, Lebo. Winner, chicken dinner. So this one's for our crowd here from Master Movers. They have generously provided us with a moving kit. So in person, who here is moving anytime soon? First person to put the hand up right here in front. That was quick. There we go, right here, Master Movers. That's desperation. I saw the desperation in our eyes. I'm sorry. Contact me afterwards. I've got a good moving contact. Amazing. I have Tam, can you just come draw for me here, please? I have 2 Old Mutual Insure gifts to give away. The first one we're drawing for is a Bluetooth speaker and radio. Oh yeah, I've got a job. I've got to read the names. Esther Singo, Department of Community Safety, Road Safety. Esther, you can drive absolutely everyone crazy with some loud music. And then the next one is we've got a cooler bag and a braai set. Yo. Chris Maritz, Twiza. Hectic.
Guys, we have so many prizes to give away. I'm so excited. Thank you, Twiza. Excel Recovery Services has given us a 750 Rand Woolworths voucher. They specialize in professional vehicle recovery and roadside assistance, providing reliable emergency services when you need them most on the South African roads. It's going to be an in-person draw. Trying to make it as dramatic as possible. Riche Swart, Kempton Vehicle Leasing. Hey. Fantastic. 750 Rand Woolies voucher. You're going to go buy only a cooked chicken. Anything helps in this economic climate. So good, but GUUD drivers has given us 2 full good drivers assessments valued at 1,900 Rand. They offer comprehensive driver assessments. So if you're not a good driver, don't go. That evaluate and improve your driving skills, safety awareness, and road responsibility, helping to create safer, more confident drivers on South African roads. And with our South African taxis, that's what we need. I'm going to do by hands quickly. On the count of 3, the first. Okay, 1 for virtual, 1 in person. So the first person to put their hand up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right there. Right to you. Beautiful lady. Please come forward. You're going to go for a driver assessment. I would absolutely not back myself. Okay, so online, virtually, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who would want to go? Jolene? Jolene, winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations. You are going to go get your drivers tested. Fantastic. We have from Perna Rickard 3 times drink more water. Okay, wait. So 3 people are going to be a part of the drink more water. So we're drawing 3 people's names, right? Hydrated. So before we draw for the prize, their Drink More Water initiative, they're a leading spirits company who is committed to promoting responsible consumption and healthy lifestyle choices. Their Drink More Water campaign encourages everyone to stay properly hydrated, make mindful choices about alcohol consumption. It's part of their broader commitment to responsible drinking, wellness, and supporting healthier communities around South Africa. We're going to draw 2 in person, 1 virtual. Okay, here we go. Dene Stacy Ruende, Director of Marketing. Stacy's got to drink more water. And then Taryn Marks. Ah! Can I please get a name for the person on virtual who won Heineken? Sasetu. I'm going to pick Sasetu because Sasetu is the last name I saw. So Sasetu, congratulations. You're also drinking more water. We've got another lucky card draw for Pino Rickard. It's a road safety kit bag valued at 1,000 Rand in person. 2 in persons. 1 in person, 1 virtual. Right, here we go. Lucky draw time. Annelies Skudder, Service Fleet. Hey, Annelies is right in front. Did you guys at the back put your cards too deep? I'm going to try my best. And then, can I see if I can just randomly pick a virtual? Me, please, Mersha here. Go up to Mersha. Mersha said me, please. It's the only one who said please. So I picked Mersha. Congratulations, Mersha. Well done. I've got a women in festival. I've got 4 gift hampers. We're going to do 2 in person and 2 virtual, according to my notes. Very exciting gift hampers. Let me get those first 2 names. Please pick the people at the back. Because I'm wearing red. They can see me. Here we go. In-person winners. Madeleine Klute. In the middle. We're getting closer to the back, guys. Hey, WesBank's one. Darshana Barwan. Darshana from WesBank. At the back. You guys are fantastic at handwriting, really. 2 virtual. Let me see the first names I see. Oh, I saw more pleases. Pick me, pretty please. Who said pick me, pretty please? Let's scroll up. There's pick me, pretty please. Vuyiswa Yengwa, congratulations. Someone said red. Okay, let's scroll up and down. Let's see the first one. Me. Who said me? Top. But there we go. But Sepa, congratulations. Winner, chicken dinner. Thank you so much. I now have a very, very cool one. It says virtual Nishani for the 2-time double tickets. Okay, cool. So there's an event happening in Cape Town. So everyone that said, if you've got the money to buy flight tickets to Cape Town, shout out to you guys. It's an incredible prize. The Women in Festival is a celebration of women in business, entrepreneurship, and leadership, taking place on November 13 to 14, 2025 at the Newlands Cricket Ground in Cape Town. This festival brings together keynote speakers, valuable networking opportunities, hands-on workshops, and exciting exhibitions, all designed to empower and uplift women across every industry. So I'm going to do one here, one virtual. Is that all right? Okay. Who here would be able to attend it in Cape Town? Right there at the back. Perfect. Stripes. It's the first hand I saw, and it's at the back. I'm ticking all the boxes. So, what's your name, my darling? Ntabi Singh. Ntabi Singh, congratulations. And then let me go to my screen. Who's going to go to Cape Town to Newlands? Liesel de Vet, Cape Town. There we go. Liesel de Vet, congratulations. You're going to Newlands. Now, Tamsin, if you can please come forward because this is yours. Jane Doe Media. This one says virtual Cape Town, Nashani. We're going to pick a virtual Cape Town one for the first one. Okay, sorry. Okay, but stay standing. The next one's in person. So Cape Town people on our virtual content catalyst visual bundle, a brand content shoot, content that can be used for your website, social media, or paid media to the value of 7,990 Rand. This includes a content strategy, a mood board based on your business need, 8 professional videos, and 20 professional images. People in Cape Town virtually who? I'm just a baby, me please. That's the first one. I'm a baby in Cape Town. Can I pick you? Ntabi Singh. Ntabi Singh, it's you. Shout out to you. Congratulations, you're a winner. That's the first Jane Doe media package. Now the next one, this is in person. Tam, you can draw. I don't want to be the person who doesn't draw someone's name. It's a question, but let me tell you what you guys can win. It's a growth in a box power package
2 hours of live, no fluff meta ads coaching, plus a done for you growth blueprint to the value of 7,900 Rand that would normally take an agency weeks to build. You'll walk away with ad account architecture, step by step, and scaling maps, competitor x-rays. You can see exactly where you can outspend or outsmart the competitors, USP and messaging pillars, punchy hooks that magnetize your ideal buyers, avatar deep dive, crystal clear profiles, so every Rand hits the right eyes. CRO boosters, quick win tweaks for your emails, websites, and landing pages that turn clicks into sales and bookings. I have no idea what I read, by the way. So the question is, digital marketing can seem overwhelming, but understanding the basics is crucial for business growth. Who can tell me what ROI stands for in marketing and why it's so important when running ads? I refuse. I saw hands go up. Okay, 5. Put your hands down. Everyone, put your hands down. Hands down. Hands down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the middle with the flower. Yay. Oh. So. Sorry. Carmen, congratulations, you won. Carmen says you didn't put a hand up. Do you see why I don't want to get involved? Can they share it, Tam? They work on the same project. Tam says thumbs up. You can share it. Please come and both of you come forward, take a photo. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more prizes to give away. They're all in person. They're all lucky card. 2 lucky card draws, 2 questions. So Tams is also quickly just explaining to them exactly what the prize was because. Right, our next hamper is an optics hamper. They specialize in advanced telematic solutions and hardware, providing cutting-edge technology for vehicle tracking, fleet management, and smart connectivity solutions. Here we go. Puleng Sedimo KTVR bus services. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The next one's going to get a lot of us excited. It's another lucky card draw. It's a spa voucher valued at 5,000 Rand. It's 2. Okay. It is 2,500 Camelot spa vouchers with a total of 5,000 served for the winner and a friend. Okay, it's a draw. They're drawing. It's not up to me. If it was me, everyone would be winners. Yeah, this is Marlies. Here we go. Can I be your +1? Right, here we go. Gillian Botha from Merchant West. Hi, Gillian. My name's Layla. It's really nice to be here. Thank you so much. Anyways. Thanks, Jill. We'll have a chat afterwards. So Sync Point and Whisker is offering professional mentorship and coaching program valued at 15,000 Rand. It is a 6-month mentorship and coaching program. One of our panelists, Lebogang, who's also with the Whisker, is offering not one, but 2 comprehensive mentorship opportunities. 1 virtual and 1 here. Each program includes a 1 hour and 30-minute session every month for 6 months with industry experts giving you personalized guidance to accelerate your career or your business growth. Plus, as a bonus, I just keep seeing you guys getting completely ready. Plus, as a bonus, 6 months complimentary of Whisker membership for both a professional and entrepreneur valued at 500 Rand and 1,000 Rand respectively. There are requirements though. You or your company must already be a part of the dynamic supply chain industry family. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to ask this question and I'm going to open it and the first person I see is going to get it. Who is ready to invest in themselves with 0 investment required? What industry do you need to be a part of to win one of these prizes? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There. Right at the back, ma'am. Yes, you. So what industry do you need to already be a part of to win this prize? Transport. You've already won a prize right here in front. Yeah. You can't go me, and then look for the answer. Supply chain, congratulations. Lebogang. And now I have to pick one virtually, which is the most difficult thing of the day. I'm going to close my eyes, keep scrolling. The first name I see is the one I'm going to pick. Who said supply chain on there? Please may I have one, Layla? Leanne Saunders. Please may I have one, Layla? She used my name and she said supply chain in the next message. Leanne, congratulations. It's you. Okay. There's another one, an entrepreneurship mentorship and coaching program again. And this is another, sorry, I might have just gotten this whole thing. We've already given our Whiskers away. There's 2. We've got 2. 1 virtual, 1 in person. Okay, let's have Lebo. Coach, please explain.
So there's 2 prizes, one for an entrepreneur and one for a professional. So my lady here is a professional. So the one that will, so we must look for an entrepreneur. Thank you.
It's the online one. I already chose Leanne Saunders online. Is she an entrepreneur? Leanne, I'm going to have to find out from you if you are an entrepreneur. Leanne, they say you are now. No, I am not. She's honest. Okay. Can all the, after Leanne's no, I am not answer, can all the entrepreneurs who'd really love this prize, please say me? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anna says, me now, just say my name. I am that one, please. Anna, congratulations. It's all yours. Thank you, Lebo. Now, we have one very big check that I also saw when I was sitting down there. MUA is offering a 5,000 Rand cash prize. So MUA Executive Insurance, MUA has been partnering with exceptional specialist brokers for over 35 years, continually evolving to provide sought-after non-life insurance tailored to the lifestyle of the discerning individual. Their mindful and entrepreneurial approach to business allows them to foster long-lasting relationships while continually innovating to serve clients efficiently. MUA specializes in ensuring the individual with comprehensive coverage, including artwork, pleasure, craft, personal policies, concierge services, classic over properties, home assist, etc., etc. This incredible 5,000 Rand cash prize comes from MUA Executive Insurers, which specialists in luxury and lifestyle insurance. So, can someone else pick, because this is the last one and I don't want to choose. Yeah. So Eugene's going to pick the winner, right?
Who can tell me one type of valuable possession that might need specialized insurance coverage, something beyond your standard home and car insurance? Jean? Hey, oh, there we go. Yeah. Yes. What's your answer?
Artwork. You can have luxury car, artwork, house, you know, and me. You can insure me too.
There, Eugene. Congratulations. Yes. I said it's a big check. Yeah. Nishani wants to share something with us. Share the money with me.
When Paul walked in today, she already claimed the prize. Yeah, she was like, I need to win this. God, as she was walking past, she says, I need to win this. I've got to pay for studies. And I heard her say that and she walked past.
I'm doing my LLB.
Well done. Well, there we go. To all my lovely ladies here who have missed out, I'm sorry. But it's all Eugene's fault. And in saying that, please join me in welcoming Eugene Herbert back to the stage for our closing remarks. Eugene, this is your moment to shine.
I must just tell you, it feels very intimidating standing in front of you ladies. So please, it's the one opportunity I get of being able to say thank you for the wonderful people that you are. In fact, each one of you, I've touched your lives, or you've touched my life in one way or another. And if I can just think on the panelists that we've had over here, if I can just refer to Marlies, I was at a presentation for Cortiva. I found out incredible things. And by the way, the MC on that one was brilliant. Can you imagine an Afrikaans environment, farmers, and there's a colored man as the MC? It was really interesting. I must say, and he did well. When I saw Marlies get up on stage with her crutch, I had to find out what had happened to her. And I do hope that you see some value in having her share her experience here. And Tamsin, give her a big round of applause, guys. Tamsin, she says she's retiring and she is so nervous. But in reality, when you saw her up here, and anybody who's been involved in Miss South Africa, you were 5th runner-up or something? Which was it? Or something, all right? And can you imagine the impact that she's had on many people's lives? And I must just talk about Nikki. I was one of the rare occasions, flipping channels, and I saw this program, Real Health. Where are you, Nikki? You're somewhere over there. And I just heard part of the tail end discussion about neural pathways and neuroplasticity. And that's something we do in our training, is to create behavioral change. And the book that Nikki speaks about, Tiny Habits by Stephen Fogg, I've read it and I encourage you to read it. Nikki, just correct me if I'm wrong. One of the habits that he starts getting you to do, I think it's a mere habit. Get out of bed in the morning, you put your feet on the ground and you say, it's a wonderful day. You agree? That's how you start your day. And I know my team hate me because they have reading then aplenty to start doing these wonderful things. And if I can just tell you about our team who put this together, by the way, you've met Nishani, you've met Lauren, I hope in the background over there, she's our COO. Nishani is our sales and marketing director. And it's events such as this that she does and her team do so well. Karen is new to the team. She was at WesBank at one stage. We've got Sam over there who does all the communications, so you get invitations from her. And then, of course, there's the guys. I'm not going to name them. They don't need naming, all right? And then, of course, there's a team at the office that are doing all these things for us. So I'd like to share some things with you. It was Layla who mentioned, and then Mokebe, about who you know. Now, in the South African context today, listen to this version. It's not about what you know. It's not about who you know. It's what you know about who you know. Okay, and when you look at what happens in some of the parastatals, for want of a better word. I'm sure you'll agree it happens. Just speaking about CSI initiatives, we know that we mentioned one. I chair an organization called Road Safety Partnership, South Africa. We're involved in educating children in schools about safe road usage. Takes up a fair amount of my time, but it's so wonderful. And in fact, if you think, Thames, and sharing something such as this, my most humbling experience is to walk into a school in the townships, and you've got these kids, there's a red carpet, and they sing in praises because you imparted knowledge. This knowledge. You know how humbling that is. So, and Joanne, who you missed, she was on our board at one stage. If you'd like to embark on a journey that makes a difference, please speak to me. Come and join me. You will have the most incredible time knowing that we make a difference to the children who are our drivers of tomorrow. Just a few notes on the Women with Drive. By the way, if anybody's thinking of cribbing it, we've trademarked it, because what we found just after we had launched it, there's companies springing up with the name Women with Drive. So we thought, no, well, we can't afford that. So if you have a look at the journey that we followed, and part of this I'm going to read for you, please. So this is our journey. From 21 to 26, we've watched women thrive in their authenticity, live their truth boldly, strive toward their biggest dreams, come fully alive with purpose, arrive at their destinations with confidence. And now, so I'm going to invite you to share, if the theme of our discussion has been through the years, women arrive, alive, survive, thrive. What do you think you would like to see for our 2026 mantra? Any thoughts? You reflect on that while I just share with you, in these last 9 years, we, I believe, have helped many women on a journey to success, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And when we see people such as yourself and willing, Tamsin, it can't be easy, you know, to get up and be yourself. Where's Mel? I love Mel to death. I'm sorry, metaphorically, all right? Okay. So when we are able to share these experiences with women in our life as a business, it means something to us and to me personally. So this journey has taken us through many connections with IVE at the end. So if we've thrived and we've thrived, what do you think our 2010 should be? Just one at a time. I'm a man, I can't multitask. All right, okay, all right. Let's have table in the center. Any comments? Thrive. It's got to end with IVE. Give it up for Bjorn. Okay, let me share with you. Just before we get to Women with Drive, Jive, let me share this with you. We've had many decades of action. You agree? The one that probably most of us will relate to is the decade of action for road safety to reduce fatalities and injuries by 50% by the year 2030. So that's the UN decade of action for road safety. But there's been a total of 18 over the years, counting from 1975. So what would you think that we should have as a mantra for the year ahead? We've spoken about success, and whatever your definition of success was, or is, or you want it to be. How about this? A decade for change, a lifetime of impact. So long after we've left this earthly scene and we've left our jobs, become mothers or whatever it is, I share with you, we should have a decade for change, a lifetime of impact. Can we embrace that? Okay. So let's get back to Bjorn's comment over there. I'm sure she was reading my notes earlier. So Women with Drive, Jive. This is recommended for our 10th, yes, our 10th anniversary. Perfect celebratory energy for milestone anniversary. It represents rhythm, harmony, and being in sync. It celebrates the dance of success and collaboration, creates fun, energetic, and memorable atmosphere. And the tagline would be, a decade of drive, let's jive. I'm sure that you can embrace that over there. So, mark in your diaries now, it will be in August month. It's not going to be at Festival of Motoring, although I gather you had your traffic challenges getting here, for which we apologize. It's just that this is such a wonderful venue, and Bjorn and Linda, all of you guys at WesBank, thank you very much. So here's the conclusion that I'd like to share with you. before we invite all the speakers and panelists to come up and receive prizes. This is supposed to be motivational. So I'm reading it. We drive to arrive. We live alive. We dive, we thrive, we jive, we strive. We survive, we revive, never deprive. We derive, we contrive, we outshine those who connive, and we keep moving in overdrive. That, I must just admit, is not my excellence. You know that thing called AI, ChatGPT? We've just started our team on one of these programs. And if you've not thought about it, I promise you it changes your world. It is absolutely phenomenal. So look forward to some great communication with us, and we'll thank ChatGPT. So with that, please, if we can just get our panelists and speakers up here, we'd like to say thank you to them. We did promise them there would be pole dancing, but I don't think they've got the energy. I must just share with you while we're all lining up here, Mokebe from aware.org, we are vehemently opposed to drinking and driving, and how nice it is to align yourselves with an organization that, whilst being in the industry that provides liquor, they have one of the most strategic approaches to road safety. So thank you. It's a privilege working with you. And I'm sure that all, if you haven't heard about what they do, please go to their website and have a look.
Thank you.
That's a pleasure. Okay, have we done all the pictures here? The prizes, by the way, are free entry to next year's Women with Drive. Okay. So thank you, ladies, from everyone at MasterDrive. We couldn't do it without you. And whether you are a customer or not, we just love being around you. And I think it's a unique privilege. And please don't miss out on the opportunity to network. We meet some really incredible people over here. And we thank you that you've made yourselves and your time available to be with us. So we're going to say thank you to the ladies, but we can ask Mel just to stay behind for one last evidence of appreciation. Okay, thanks, guys.
Making me hold on.
Listen, when I heard that she knows about, no, let me not go there. I made the mistake of one day of making a comment about something, and I had to find the person 2 weeks later to apologize for an off-the-cuff comment. The reason why we have Mel here, if you haven't heard about it, and now this is where the sell is, guys, but it's not in our interest. We run a program called Fleet Safety Awards, where we recognize excellence in safety, particularly with regard to fleets. Malise, you've entered already. The first year that we ran it, we gave away 10,000 Rand. Oh, we thought it was great. This year, it's our 4th year, and thanks to partnerships such as we have with Castrol, we're giving away 250,000 Rand. Okay. Now, if any of you, and yes, you know, some of our account managers come back and they say, hey, my customer's complaining, it takes 20 minutes to complete. For heaven's sake, if you can win 80,000 Rand, isn't 20 minutes worth it? So please, I have your commitment, and share this with us. It's to recognize excellence because, and I'm not having a go at government here, please, but in the absence of the fact that they cannot get through to people who are on the roads as much as we would like them to, we believe that corporate South Africa should get involved in these and recognize people and industries and individuals. We also have attached a sustainability component to it. So we have as one of our partners the Rose Foundation. You know, all the oil that gets out of your car when you've driven it, it's got to go somewhere. 1 liter of oil can pollute 1 million liters of water. So responsible disposal of that is critical and important. One of our partners right from inception, or 2nd year of inception, has been Castrol. So what we do as a tradition to all our headline partners, they take the torch and they carry it through with them for a week or 2 weeks. And we'd like Nishani to hand this to Mel as she celebrates their participation with Fleet Safety Awards. So guess who's my favorite lubricant supplier? And by the way, Castrol, they sponsored our search for a young driver, just previously disadvantaged. Thanks, Mel. I must just share that with you. Motorsport is exciting, interesting. You see, we've got a Ford Mustang out there. We participate in these things. Safety. We started off, by the way, providing safety cars. And then, of course, the imagination grows. And we looked at the people that were present at Somali Hill Climb, and you see all rich white dudes, some Asians. I mean it, serious. Mokebe was saying, be honest, eh? Well, okay. And we looked and thought, how many young guys out there would like to participate? And we then went and searched one. Castrol worked with us. And, you know, to see a young guy that gets to meet, and Peter Solberg was here, he was the winner that year, and to meet his idol, and it's so privileged to be part of that. This year, coming up, we're going to do that again. And I've got some motoring guys over here, and I don't know if I've touched them, their hearts as yet. Guess who's laughing out there? And then you know who I'm talking about. But this year, we want to go one better. We want to find, and this is not about color, but a young woman, a young lady. If she's of color, fantastic. But we want to send them up the hill. And I promise you, the adrenaline that you get out of that is just absolutely awesome. So, folks, with that, it brings to conclusion, unless there's anything else, Nishani. Okay, all right, okay. All right, Nishani said, please, this venue cost us a lot of money. Can you just put 10 Rand in as you leave the entrance of the building? All right. Yes. Everyone present gets a goodie bag. There is one clause. Can I just see how much you trust me? Will you agree to it? Yes. Come on, louder than that. Okay. All that we ask is that you motivate, either within your own company or without, somebody to enter the Fleet Safety Awards. We've got people from Saboa. We run the bus category one as well. We want better road users out there. We want safer roads, because that way Tamsin can go home to eat a little boy. And with that brings to conclusion, lunch is served. And thank you again for being here, and really have a wonderful time.
Eugene. Sorry. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you so much, guys. We're gonna go. I promise. We just have to do a few thank yous, because you know this day is not possible without sponsors, without support. So I'm going to get through this as quickly as possible. I know we are running behind. So WesBank, thank you so much to you guys. You've not provided just a venue, you've opened your home, the sunning facilities, the refreshments, lunch, and your continued partnership show us commitment to supporting women in mobility. So thank you so much. To Castrol, you guys have been fueling our journey for years now. Your steadfast partnership means everything to us. You don't just support an event, you support our movement, and your commitment to women in mobility creates ripple effects that extend far beyond this room. So thank you so much for seeing the value in what we are building. Then our panelists, our speakers, thank you to you guys. Every single one of you have not just shared your time, you've shared your soul. Thank you for telling us your stories, your authentic stories, your wisdom, and your generous spirits. And thank you so much. Our CSI partner, Nabai Foundation, thank you to Nontleba Bandukula for being here today, for the vital work that you are doing in our communities. And to everyone who have connected with Nontleba today, you're extending the impact of this event. And if you have not connected with her, please do so. Then, Eugene spoke about swag bags and prizes. We have to say thank you to the swag bags, the prizes. You'll find in there Whisker, thank you, CarTrack, thank you, Castrol, thank you, Dunlop, Excel Recovery Services, Kathy Heapy from Body Stress Release, Live Rewards, Loyalty Rewards and Solutions, the Canola Parther, Master Movers, Mag, Nikki, thank you, Optics, Old Mutual, Road Cover, Sync Point, Tamsin, thank you to you, Tracker, and the Woman in Festival. There's also a Festival of Motoring voucher in all of your swag bags. I told you I'm Oprah. You get a Festival of Motoring voucher. You. And then again, yeah, to Vian for making this event possible. Thank you to Carol and your team. Thank you for the stunning decor, the catering. My sound guys, partners, thank you guys so much. We couldn't have done this without you. And to every single one of you guys, on behalf of me,
I, Layla Arrison, I'd like to thank you so much for being so welcoming, for laughing at my lame jokes, for bearing with me, and for being so open and inviting. Thank you that you guys traveled all this way. Thank you that you got stuck in traffic, but you made sure you wanted to be here. And we cannot wait to do the 10-year anniversary with you guys next year again. So thank you. Drive safe and see you guys soon.